Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Aurora. This is Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans. This is April 24, 2024. So that's a nice, beautiful date. I think it's palindrome. This is level 2, lesson 7, the class that I intended to do topical theme last week, when I spontaneously last week ditched all of my notes and curricula and decided that I wanted instead to talk about myself and my purpose for being in the world and who and what I am as Aurora. So thank you so much for that diversion last week, and also for all the positive feedback that I got about explaining and describing my journey in detail. But now we have to talk about important things, which is Advanced Merkaba. So I had sent out the notes last week. It's worth reading through. I will go through this with you step by step because I really want you to get the entirety of this teaching so that you can be fully empowered. So I will also tell you that the teaching about the Merkaba, if you have any inner skepticism, where you're like, this is straight edge geometry. You know, this looks a lot like Metatron's cube. My skepticism and trauma are flaring up. Is this really something I want to learn from Aurora and apply to my own life? I applaud your skepticism because we live in a world where there's a lot of mind garbage and then a lot of imposters. So thank you for your discernment. But I will tell you that the nutrients that I have to share with you are 100% positive and life affirming and accurate, and are in every way designed to bring you towards greater levels of personal knowledge, personal empowerment, and rectification. We have to hug Cheeky. Come here, come here, come here. Oh, can you see down here? Greater levels of rectification and fairness and justice. So I understand that you might be skeptical about this shape because it looks like Metatron's cube, and everything Metatron and Metatron themed, I think you should be incredibly skeptical of. And yes, there are many things that are partial sharings or teachings that are disempowering. So I'll tell you all about the non-complete strudel recipes that humanity has been given in terms of suppressing you by not giving you full access to this recipe, but I will teach you the full recipe. So, okay, Cheeky, everybody loves you. First of all, everybody loves Cheeky. Cheeky needs some praise. We got a good exercise, so we gotta focus on class now. If you guys want to know what I'm talking about, what is strudel? What does all of this have to do? The search for personal empowerment and spiritual enlightenment. What does that have to do with the German pastry? So let's begin there. So strudel is a type of rolled up pastry, and it's made out of a dough that there's a very special technique to make the dough. You have to go through this whole process of making it, letting it raise, punching it down, rolling it out, stretching it, and everything like that. Very, very specialty skill, labor intensive. And if I just gave you a recipe, if you liked my strudel, I usually talk about like grandmother's strudel, and grandma has a secret recipe, and you ask her, say, Grandma, I love your strudel so much. I'd love to make it at home. And grandma's like, I don't want to be out of a job. I'll give you a partial recipe. As I go, yes, of course, apples, nuts, and cinnamon is what goes in the middle. And then the shell is just made out of some flour and some water and some sugar. And you just mix it all up together and make that dough and roll it out. And if I gave that to you as your strudel recipe, you would make it and you would just have a blob. You would not have like this delicious, flaky, perfect pastry that is so famous. And so the technique is everything in terms of having the full recipe. And also you must have the multidimensional teaching of what you're experiencing. So part of what's been limiting humanity on a genetic and energetic level since the diminishment from ancient or concurrent Atlantis, since you have entered into the realm of mortality, I should say, with the best languaging that I possibly can. You have had DNA that is not fully third dimensional. Please don't ever say 3D, 5D, because it's too confusing. My head is going to explode. But when I say 3-dimensional, I mean something that is volumetric, all right? It makes me so mad. Because when I say 3D, people think that I mean their mundane, secular, boring existence. And I do not. I mean the part of your existence that is defined by an X, Y, and Z axis, all right? That is what 3D means. Third dimensional 3D means it is a volumetric form that has both length, width, and height, all right? So your DNA is supposed to be volumetric. It is supposed to have both length, width, and height. It is supposed to be shaped more like a slinky spiral. and have formfulness as opposed to a flat waveform. Humanity went through a genetic squashing, and what that literally translates to is a removal of a higher dimensional space, diminishment of the degrees of movement freedom that you can have in terms of exploring space, diminishment of combinations that you can incur in terms of putting together various different amino acids. So to use vernaculars, you lost like letters in the alphabet and could not spell out as many words. And the words that you could spell out had lost complexity by a factor, you know, like times 100. You had lost that much complexity. And so I am here teaching you about the flying rainbow lasagna in order to bring you back to your innate and well-deserved levels of complexity, your birthright of being multidimensional and having DNA that has formfulness is a part of that, all right? So a big part of the diminished teachings in terms of what the Merkaba is giving you only a slice, a flat two-dimensional representation of what this shape is. So this is a piece of onyx that is carved into a star tetrahedron shape. I know it's so hard to see with the lighting in here, but that's a pretty good picture, looking pretty good. So you can see that it's these two interpenetrating pyramids. And the pyramids are tetrahedra. Tetrahedra, let me grab my little sculptures here, are equilateral pyramids. Equilateral pyramids are made out of equilateral triangles. You're like, did I just step into a math class? Yes, you did. Please do not run out the door. Sit, stay. Thank you. We're going to do math, and it's going to be great. All right. Equilateral triangles. First of all, let's define a triangle. Triangle is polygon with 3 sides. What's a polygon? Polygon is a multi-sided figure. Equilateral triangles have all equal sides. I think that these are all 4 inches. 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches. And equilateral triangles all have the same angle. 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. The angles of a triangle, internal angles of a triangle, add up to 180 degrees. These are part of the basic definition of the shape. And an tetrahedron, singular, is a pyramid that is made out of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 equilateral triangles. And this is my magical cardboard sculpture over here, folds up together in order to make this tetrahedron shape. So this is one pyramid of the star tetrahedron, and you have 2 pyramids that are part of that shape. So here I have one, and you have one that points upward, and then you have one that points downward, and that they interpenetrate in like that little onyx sculpture, all right? So these pyramids are shaped differently. Hey, Lucy, great to see you. Thank you for joining us. These are shaped differently than the pyramid that is known as the Great Pyramid on Earth in Egypt at Giza. That pyramid, and I'm going to change one of my little sculptures, although this is a little premature in our class today, but that pyramid has a square bottom and is shaped more like this. You can see I just rearranged the faces of my polygon into a new format. They give or take away anything, but I did rearrange what I have. So now what you have is, or are, the 4 sides that are equilateral triangles arranged around, let's hold this up like this, a square base. Look at that, a square base. And you guys, I think, are probably familiar with squares. But a square is a 4-sided polygon where all of its angles are 90 degrees. So what is really crucial in this recipe for interdimensional flaky pastries is that when you transform the tetrahedron shape into this form of pyramid shape, you gain an additional angle. You go from having only 60-degree angles, that's these ones that are the interior angles of your triangle, but then you also gain this angle at the top, which I admit is imperfect in my sculpture, but that becomes a 90-degree angle. And then, of course, you can also see, however imperfectly, this angle over here at the base becomes a 90-degree angle. And 60-degree angles are great and they rock. but 90-degree angles are great, and they rock in a totally different way. They're both positive and life-affirming angles that you want. Because I think I'm trying to break through levels of skepticism and mistrust that are well-placed from all of the garbage that's been sent your way. But when you just look at things in terms of shapes, it's like there's no value judgment that is placed on them in terms of whether you're in alignment with them or what they're. Ooh, let me just mute you. That'll help.
Sorry.
Recording. That's okay. There's nothing like one angle is the angle of freedom and one angle is the angle of garbage. It's going to send you downward into an abyss of nonsense. It's not like that. That's not how it is. Think of like the keys on a piano. Like they're all very nice notes. They're all good. And of course, you want to put them into positive, life-affirming combinations. So removing cultural imprints, removing judgments and other trauma-based residues from your perception of angles in general, and recognizing that gaining an additional angle that you can move in is positive because you're gaining an additional degree of freedom. You can do more stuff. So the 60-degree angle is the definition of life on a somatic cellular level. That it is the angle that dictates a lot of the formfulness of how our biological bodies are formed and stay together. The 60-degree angle informs the movement and shape of water as it becomes crystalline. So that's a snowflake. I don't know if you guys live someplace where it's cold, where there are snowflakes, but I used to live someplace where it was cold and there were snowflakes, and I hated having to shovel all of those 60-degree angles every winter. But snowflakes, when you just look at one, can be very beautiful. And each one has the 6 radial spokes going around it, and then a unique architecture of crystals that grow within those spokes. And your body is made of an enormous amount of water. So that 60-degree angle informs the water that you're experiencing in your body. And also the carbon atom itself, which is another large element, a pronounced element, that's not the word I'm looking for, that's part of the basic molecular structure of your body that you're in or experiencing right now. So with fewer words, your physical body has a lot of ingredients that utilize the 60-degree angle. And in terms of physical cellular health, 60-degree angles are awesome, and they give you a lot of cellular health. And this is also an angle that you will see repeated in many places in nature, such as the honeycomb of a beehive. And I'm drawing a blank at the moment, but you'll see it as a very effective angle that many different creatures or organisms use because it's so good at organizing physical reality. Like when you have a 60-degree angle and you're able to put together that into a honeycomb, it is an efficient packing with no airspace. So this is why bees are super efficient little architects and engineers. They're like, we got to store a lot of honey in a small amount of space. We don't want to waste space. So instead of putting together many multiple circles, where of course you would have wasted space, they put together many multiple small chambers that are made out of these equilateral triangles. And it's the most efficient way for them to use their space. So you can comprehend that the 60-degree angle is positive and life-affirming in terms of description of our biological realm, but you are not merely a biological organism. You're a biological organism, and you also have an enormous energy presence. And the transformation or translation from 60-degree into 90-degree has to do with your transformation or claiming of expanded aspects and definitions of self beyond merely the cellular body, including your energy body, which is shaped like this over here. So this is your chakras. And of course, you're used to me teaching you about chakras and many of these shapes that are curvilinear, meaning that they are made 100% out of circles, don't have straight lines, don't have 90-degree angles in them. But this shape very much relates to this shape. So I'm just pressing pause because I want you to know that 90-degree angles give you an additional degree of freedom. And the additional degree of freedom is what I have talked about in this class and in the semester quite often, the leap into the next highest dimension. Like if my hand is a flat plane that is two-dimensional, the third dimension is when you jump off the surface of the flat plane. And that's the direction where my pen is standing right now. And that pen creates a 90-degree angle right down here where it's touching my hand. So the 90-degree angle is a jump into the next highest dimension. Third dimension is length, width, and height, X, Y, and Z axes. Now it's the final spatial dimension. So if I asked you to point to the fourth dimension from the third dimension, then you would justifiably run out of class, jump out a window. You don't have an answer for this. I would never do that to you. So what is 90 degrees to the third dimension? It's a tough answer because the answer is not a spatial answer. It is not something that is a five senses answer. It is an answer that involves the invisible, ephemeral aspect of reality known as time. The fourth dimension is when you jump 90 degrees from the third dimension and you enter into the realm of time. You are in the realm of time right now. You know how you can tell? Because not only like the clock is moving, but everything is moving. So if you were not in the fourth dimension and higher experiencing time, you would simply experience the world frozen. Frozen. I hope the AI doesn't choose that as my silly thumbnail. I'm always like bargaining with the AI here. But no, you would experience frozenness, not motionness. And clearly, like I'm walking on a treadmill, I'm moving all around. You guys can see stuff is moving in your world. That shows you are experiencing time. And so 90 degrees is an empowerment angle that allows you to move into the next highest dimension. And then, we can go through all the dimensions, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension. It's not 5D smoothie shop. That's my little vernacular. If a person is new and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I am mildly critical of the way that what I teach about in my class has been cherry-picked, taken out of context, and then turned around and weaponized as a psyop towards you, talking about 3D versus 5D. It's very, very poor languaging that I didn't comprehend for many years until somebody explained it to me and they said, oh, when everybody, because I'm like this, I'm like, guys, like, this doesn't make any sense to me. I'm already ranting. Get ready, gird your loins. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me because you're talking about like jumping from the third dimension into the fifth dimension. But I'm like, but you're already in the fifth dimension and you can't leave behind the third dimension. And none of this represents ascension. And so someone had to kind of like sit me down like, Aurora, like when we're talking about the third dimension and 3D and 5D, we're not talking about dimensions. We're talking about densities. I'm like, densities? What is this? So it is a loose language vernacular that has grown up around the community of spiritual seekers to be able to talk about something, but I think that it is innately flawed in that it is not talking about dimensionality and that it has to do with levels of consciousness that are being easily manipulated by, where's my magical piece of paper? This stuff. This stuff goes into particular areas of human brain and can be used as an artificial elevator up or an artificial descender down. And the naughty people that have been creating synthetic telepathy, they call this the ladder of operancy. But I don't want you to use their crappy lingo at all. But just know that that is what it is called. And also, please know, if you're questioning and wondering about the validity of me teaching these teachings about the Merkaba from my interactions with those very, very naughty people, organisms, creatures, organizations, or AIs, they hate the Merkaba. When they were really trying to bring me down, I would do my Merkaba and they'd be like, oh, she's doing that thing that we hate. And then I remember, this is like 3 or 4 years ago when it was the early part of the hot war that we've been in for the past couple of years. And I was like, wow, I wish I could just go back to my class and teaching everyone about the Merkaba. And that was like the most out of reality dream. And of course, here I am doing it because I have fought my way to freedom and I continue to fight for all of you and for planetary freedom. So all of that just in order to say that the Merkaba as a shape is incredibly valid because it is so threatening to the ongoing invasion power structure and is something that they hate it when I do it and certainly tried to silence my voice and prevent me from teaching it to you. So that tells you it's definitely something that is very, very effective and useful, and that you want to be able to learn and embody on every level. In fact, the Merkaba is, I should go further. I know I'm a little bit fragmented and I should finish some of my sentences before I actually move on. But the Merkaba comes to us from ancient concurrent Atlantis. And I tell people that learning about the Merkaba in that context and in that realm was considered primary education. Just like in this time and place, you learn like you have to tie your shoes and, you know, whatever, like here's how to brush your teeth. That these are basic life skills, and you never lose those life skills. You use them throughout your whole entire existence. So creating the Merkaba is something that every psychic person learns or learned how to do in Atlantis as a basic part of energetic hygiene, as a basic aspect of staying alive and walking around and navigating in the world. Merkaba, the syllables literally mean light body vessel. And if Ka and Ba sound like phonemes that you've heard before, it's because you have heard them before, because they are vestigial linguistic traces that do come from the origins, cultural origins in Atlantis, and have been woven through various different cultures. This is not an endorsement of the distortions of those cultures as they presently represent in your culture right now. Like the Kaaba is the black box shaped thing that is perambulated about in Mecca during the pilgrimage. I don't think that it's a huge distortion, not necessarily a positive thing. Lots of energy is harvested, lots of energy is siphoned, not necessarily into places that you want, but that affiliation, again, has nothing at all to do with the purity of the concept of the Merkaba. And if you look at this, and you're like, well, wait, if you hold it in a certain way, it looks kind of like a black cube. Aurora, are you from the Black Cube Society? Are you one of these like evil satanic people? I'm like, no, I swear, I do not worship Santa or any of these things. I am here as a freedom fighter in order to give you excellent information so that you can be empowered. We'll give you the full recipe about how you can create the Merkaba. So the Merkaba is something that in the culture of Atlantis, everybody learned how to do it. Everybody learned how to utilize it. And there are different stages of expertise as you grow to utilize it more. And you must also comprehend that you come with this energy field as an innate part of your being without any effort. You don't have to effort and sit there and be like, okay, chakras, like do your thing, run, 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 run. Chiki's barking, I have to give her a bribe, hold on. It's way too early for bribes. This just exists as an innate part of your being when you come into existence. But the Merkaba is an envisionment and a meditation and is effortful. You must effort. You must learn how to do it. Just like in this level of reality, you come here and you must learn how to speak with words. You have to develop that as a life skill. And it's a positive life skill that brings you places in your present level of society. Merkaba is a life skill that you cultivate, and you're able to use that in augmentation of, or in complementary energy usage of your natural energy field. Hold on, brief pause. Yes, so the Merkaba is an effortful envisionment field, and it is also an art form. It is something that, just like eating, you know, really eating is an art form, not only in assembling ingredients and preparing food, but in the way that you plate the food and do all of it. You know, it's not just like gobbling down something really fast and unconsciously. So creating the Merkaba is an art form, even as it is also a self-nourishment and an intellectual and spiritual exercise. And within that art form, you have room for self-expression and self-exploration. So now let me speak about the three main usages of the Merkaba and make sure that you know you're going to get the full recipe in what I have to share with you here today. The first usage of the Merkaba is as a protective and nourishing energy force field around your physical body. I'm going to show you some pictures. I have squinted and scrolled already before class. Wait, this part goes bye-bye. These are my notes for right now. No, this was supposed to go away. I already made this go away before. I organized my whole screen before class. It's very unfair. This is the third one. This is the second one. Nothing is working. Oh my goodness. It's always such an energy drain. It's a plot. It's not by accident. Now somebody else has to come to this meeting. Okay. These are pictures of what the Merkaba looks like around your physical body. I like to do the Merkaba meditation while I am seated in this, kind of pretzel-like position with my lower legs folded. It's comfortable on my knees and on my hips. And what I like about it is that you can see, well, where I'm wiggling my cursor, this edge of one of the pyramids lines up with this edge of your thigh. So when you begin your practice, if you're able to sit comfortably with your legs folded like this, I encourage you to do so, because you can really feel how your two legs coming outward from the vertex, which is the pointy part of your pelvis. So, okay, language. The pointy part of this shape over here where my cursor is wiggling is called a vertex. And that's where these two planes come together. So these two vertexes that are right here at either one of your knees and at the base of your spine, they create the perfect three-sided triangular platform that mimics the shape of the pyramid. So when you are doing this envisionment, you can sit in this body position and you can begin with envisioning the feeling of sitting in an equilateral triangle pyramid, and the vertex at the top is maybe 6 to 12 inches above your head. And there is also, you can see a complementary downward facing pyramid where the vertex sticks outward from your heart. So here, this is your heart right here, like center of your chest, above breasts, and not fully at the level of your collarbones. And then you can see how this one you can envision as a vertex that begins by sticking outward from the level of your heart. And that one points downward into the earth. And the downward facing vertex you can envision as going down to earth, touching the surface of earth, or even touching earth's core. And you can envision the upward facing pyramid as touching the sun, or touching the sky, or touching the entire stellar network, or touching a world of ephemeral, non-embodied pure light. The real translation of this entirety is a bridge between different levels of reality, from the level of pure light, which is pure sentience, consciousness, information, and ephemeral non-embodiment, and its complement, which is the physical world's embodiment, matter, from the root word of mother, Mother Earth. Our Earth is not merely a planet, it is representative of a level of embodiment existence that has to do with being in physical matter. So the Merkaba is a bridge that is an energy bridge that you effortfully form and artfully form between the world of matter and the world of pure energy or non-embodiment. And that is very similar to what the flying rainbow lasagna is, but these two energy fields perform separate and complementary purposes in the world. And so when I do my flying rainbow lasagna, I begin with a Merkaba around my body, just like this. And so this is on its abstract level, a description, better words. One description of this shape is that on its abstract level, it's a bridge between two worlds, the world of pure abstraction or pure energy, and the world of physical embodiment. Another way of thinking about this force field is that it is a shield and a protection for yourself as you travel through time. This is your vehicle, and it's a light body vehicle, and it is meant to block out or reflect back negative experiences in time and bring towards you experiences in time that are life affirming, that bring you towards greater levels of life, being alive, keep you alive, coherence, and longevity. All right. So if you could imagine, here's an impulse that is coming towards the rotating faces of your Merkaba. It's a negative time impulse, something bad that you don't want to have happen to you. And it reflects off of here, like, a mirrored disco ball. It reflects right off of there. And in the areas where my cursor is wiggling here, there are receptive places where love and nourishment and life-affirming experiences can enter into your energy field. This is a way of being able to begin to navigate time. So of the 3 levels or stages of what you can experience with the Merkaba, the primary, beginner, most innate and crucial level to master is Merkaba as an immune system. Merkaba as a protective force field to shield you as you move through time. So wait, I will go back to my face, drink a little bit of water, and I will tell you about your immune system. Another person is coming into the meeting. I'm pleased when people come into my class. Hold on a moment. I just don't necessarily like to have to press the buttons in the middle of class, but I'm pleased that people arrive. Protective force field. As you're flying through time or moving through the larger oceans of consciousness, there's all of these different events, all of these different time currents. And as you are psychic or you're beginning to awaken your higher faculties, is better languaging in this class, it becomes essential to learn how to navigate away from and protect yourself from negative and harmful time structures. Things that involve like your death or your amputation or harm to your body, or things that would diminish you or enslave you, and move towards and embrace things that are nourishing and life affirming. All right. So that's the first part of how to use your Merkaba. And like, you come here as a human infant, you do not come with an immune system. You have to build your immune system. And that's largely what the first 1, 2, or 3 years of little babies' lives are. They get all sorts of different diseases, and then they get better. They build their immune system. And of course, nursing and the beautiful collaboration between the mother's immune system helps babies to develop their immunity. But immunity is for your physical body, the ability to discern and figure out what microbes are helpful and what microbes are harmful. What little tiny alive creatures you allow to live in your digestive tract or bloodstream, and that might even be mutualistic or symbiotic in some way, and which things are purely pathogenic, like amoebic dysentery. You have to learn, like, get that stuff out of you. You don't want that inside of you. But how about lactobacillus? Your body has to learn, like, lactobacillus is my friend because it allows me to digest milk. Lactobacillus can stay. So your immune system becomes selective. It is a selective force field of your physical body that makes choices that are self-expressive and artistic about who gets to live in your body. And of course, you have to continually upgrade it and cultivate it. This is exactly what the Merkaba force field is. It is a selective energy field that allows in the things that nourish you, the events that nourish you. Like, you need lactobacillus to digest your mother's milk, and you need to have nourishing, positive, life-affirming, let's call them the edifices in time, shapes of events in time. And you want to have no pathogenic shapes in time. So it's story time now. Gather around, and I will tell you of the time that I was cooking some bacon, and I had fried it, leaves behind a lot of hot bacon grease in the pan. It's not good to pour that down the sink because it will clog your pipes. So I'm a very smart and conscientious person. I had a glass jar that was already on the sink, and I was taking the pan with the hot grease inside of it, still like very dangerously hot, from the stove and pouring it into the jar. And I didn't know that the jar, maybe it was sitting on top of some water, something happened, and it exploded quite spontaneously, quite magnificently. So there was broken glass flying all around the kitchen, hot bacon grease flying all around the kitchen. And of course, I do my Merkaba every day, just as a natural brushing of my teeth, energetic hygiene. But I also have developed myself to the point where I do it as a reflex in dangerous situations. So I already had my shields up, but as soon as things started to go sideways on this, my shields went up automatically. And here's the critical information. None of the broken glass went on me. None of the hot bacon grease went on me. It went all around the whole entire kitchen. I can laugh about this because luckily I was not injured. And of course, I had to laboriously clean everything up. So this is important for you to really internalize the truth of this story, because when you have your Merkaba shields up, it doesn't mean like nothing bad will ever happen to you. I would consider that to be a bad experience. Doesn't mean nothing bad will ever happen, but it means that I was able to effectively navigate that bad thing so that I didn't get hurt. I had the best outcome of a very not very good situation. All right. This is big because you have to comprehend when you're going through life, there might be some bad SHIT that happens to you. But if you are doing your Merkaba, and if you're able to create these protective energy force fields around yourself and even your whole planet, other people that you care about, and people that, you know, encompassing your whole entire planet, you're able to navigate negative reality structures and not get hurt. All right. So I chose the best possible timeline out of that not very good selection, which is glass breaks, kitchen gets really dirty, but I'm okay. And all that happens really is I have to use a whole roll of paper towels, a lot of cleaner to be able to clean up the kitchen. That's the worst thing that happened. That's okay by me. You got it? So this is big because you might be like, oh, wait, like, look at all invasion of Atlantis and everybody's doing their Merkaba. Like, why do bad things happen? Because bad things happen sometimes. When you are doing your Merkaba, it means that you are able to navigate those negative time events so that you are aligning with the best of the possible outcomes that you can possibly experience. So when I do my flying rainbow lasagna, I, of course, am generating and not just aligning with pre-existing opportunities on the menu, I should say, but generating new recipes for what can be on the time menu or at the time cafe. But I'm always putting up my Merkaba before I do that work because, you know, I'm an artist exploring time. And maybe I'm doing a rough sketch of something in time when I'm doing my Merkaba, and maybe it's not perfect. And I want to be protected from blowback. I don't want to learn hard lessons by doing a flying rainbow lasagna, creating some, you know, radiating waves in undulations, moving through time, and then having them bounce back to me and having it be unpleasant or unhealthy or cause disasters. So I put up the Merkaba with the intention, because then I'll teach you about how the greater levels of complexity with intending or programming, for lack of a better word, in things into your Merkaba. I put up the intention in my protective force field that as I'm doing this dance in time, that is what the flying rainbow lasagna is, that I am protected from negative outcomes because I'm intending positive things. When I do my dance, I am intending to change my DNA and to change the fabric of time, space, and reality into a better, more comfortable, more life-affirming structure with more longevity and more coherence. So like more healthy for me, more healthy for everyone, keeping myself and everyone alive and moving towards greater levels of, you know, continued existence. All right. And so because when you're doing the flying rainbow lasagna, like literally anything can happen. It's that silly movie called Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they have the infinite improbability drive, the big red button, and they press the big red button and anything can happen. It's sometimes the most bizarre, strange, and uncomfortable things happen. So I put up my Merkaba so that we don't want the most bizarre, strange, and uncomfortable things to happen. We want the most life-affirming, comfortable, nourishing, and positive things to happen. All right. And I also consider doing the Merkaba to be similar to my gym mat is kind of folded up. But when I do my dance, I literally have like a dance mat, a nice thick, puffy rubber mat that you use for tumbling exercises. And I do that for like, you know, when I'm rolling around so that it's comfortable on my joints. Instead, you don't want to roll around on like concrete or something like that. It's not comfortable. But also it's representative of the sense, like if you're training as a dancer or an acrobat or whatever, time acrobat, you want to have a soft landing. What if you slip? What if you're off balance? What if you fall in not so great of a graceful way? You don't want to have a hard landing and really injure yourself. Fall on a puffy mat. Merkaba is an example energetically of what a puffy tumbling mat is, because you're expected to go through a learning process. I already told you that we taught the Merkaba to even the youngest people, or teach it. Time language is not efficient here, but in Atlantis, even the youngest people are schooled in doing the Merkaba. Why is that? Because you're going to be affecting time and flying through time and doing things with your mind and with your psychic powers. And you don't know everything at the beginning. This is also part of like, hooray, like I'm alive, I'm having life experiences. I don't know everything, I'm learning. And the cosmic infrastructure is actually very loving and just like, you're going to need some protection. Like if you're a kid, you whatever, you're going out on your roller skates for the first time and your mom and dad are like, you're going to need some protection. Like put on your elbow pads, put on your knee pads, put on your helmet. Like there will be bumps in the road and you will fall sometimes. But this is the protection, so that way, if you have, are in your learning process, it's a small fall, not a big giant injury. Okay, so I think that I've done enough to be able to talk about the first level of what the Merkaba is. So the second level of the Merkaba moves beyond merely creating a protective force field for protecting you from just general imbalances in time, but also from blowback from your own experiences of generating what you're sending out. The second level of using the Merkaba has to do with intentional wish creating. And wish making is an art form. And when I teach about the Merkaba and all levels of reality creation, I teach you not just the mechanics, but I also teach you the value system. So also, just as a brief aside, when you're flying with the Merkaba, you can have your feet folded like underneath you, or you can have them folded in what, the Hindu people call the full lotus, like with your feet kind of like up, pointed upwards. And so that the traditional Merkaba position is with your legs folded and then your arms folded like this, perfectly level flight, right? But the way that I teach Merkaba, I teach everyone, I'm like, oh, like we're doing figure eights, like we're wiggle waggling, we're dancing along. It's perfectly acceptable to do that. It is considered like slightly outre, a little bit different, but don't worry. If anybody ever asks you, or they might be like this, did you learn Merkaba from Aurora? I'm like, yes, that's exactly what happened, because I teach it in a very expressive way that has to do with being a dancer and an artist beyond the mere workaday aspect of this force field. So workaday is not the right word. I'm trying to think, and it's not martial. It's not only something that is about protection. Yeah, Trisha is saying super coiling way Merkaba, absolutely. Because, you can do the Merkaba so that these vertexes are spinning just at a very like level way like this, but you really you can make them move and undulate in beautiful figure eights, and you're still within the boundaries of correctness of energy work. And you're also able to be more expressive. So this is just a brief aside, because a big part of my journey here and in Atlantis and as an impulse on the Stellar Network is that I'm really about art and music and self-expression. And in order to do those things, I have to have protective force fields, and then also sometimes be able to kick ass because there's bad stuff in the world. But that really the objective for all of us is self-expression, beauty, and joy. So the Merkaba is more than just a tool of like, not warfare, but like martial arts. It is more than just that, although it is sometimes presented as just that. It can be used with a great deal of artistry. And so that is how I teach it to you. So you can just envision like many of these very serious Merkabas flying along, and then you're kind of like dancing, grooving, and wiggling, but you're totally fine. You have my permission and encouragement. Beyond permission, you have my celebration and encouragement to do so. You're not breaking the rules. And so I just have to articulate that for you. The second level of Merkaba is wish making. And what I teach are values in how to drive your car. So Trish, she made this comment over here, and thank you for being here, from a wildly divergent time zone over there. Trish lives in the Middle East, and she told me that in the language and in the documentation, like the driver's license there, it literally says on it, Merkava, that is the vehicle. Like here, you're getting like your driver's license, and you're get your Merkava license, is what it is. It's very apt. I don't know if that's a funny joke to all of you, but I think it's a funny joke because I joke that I am like a driver's teacher. You know, you're in driver's ed right now. And what you're learning is how to drive your energy field, how to drive your energy force field through time. And what I want to teach you is more than just, this is the gas and this is the brake, and these are the different gears of your car. I want to teach you about how to drive safely and effectively. And I want to make sure that you don't drive to bad neighborhoods. And that you, so here the essence of what I want to teach you. You're not allowed to smash your car into someone else. You have to, oh my goodness, hold on one moment. Okay, so how you drive your car safely. Clearly, you are not allowed to hit into other cars or pedestrians or bicyclists or anything like that. You must put on your safety belt and make sure that you are safe. You must make sure that your car is in good working condition, doesn't have any flat tires, and has enough gas in the gas tank to be able to get to your destination safely and also return home safely. And then you also need to be able to read street signs, to be literate about comprehending which communities you are in, and not to go to bad neighborhoods. So that's driving a physical vehicle, right? The analogy in terms of your force field and driving through time or flying through time and creating or generating new reality structures is you don't hit into other people. So this is value system stuff here. You do not create love spells. Love spells and all of that type of stuff is so far against the value system that I teach, and it's really against cosmic law, and it's for a very good reason. Cosmic law is based in free will, and when you do a love spell, what you're doing is taking away someone else's free will. Someone should love you according to their free will, not because you performed a ritual and tried to overcome their willpower. You got it? So the key aspects of this teaching are to recognize that you're really not supposed to supersede other people's willpower through using this magical tool. And it is a supernatural or energetically augmented tool. So you don't use it to try to get what you want at the expense of other people. That would be considered smashing your car into someone else's car. And you must take responsibility for everything that you're doing as you begin to explore these levels of responsibility. And this is not just me being cosmic law enforcement. This is the cosmos being cosmic law enforcement. So when you are doing your Merkaba, you are receiving greater levels of empowerment, and it is expected that there are greater levels of personal responsibility. That's even beyond just living your life and having an impact on time. You're beginning to become consciously aware of you having an impact on time. And then you have to say, I did that either positive thing that I take responsibility and ownership of, or I did that negative thing. I made that mistake and I got to change and shift and do things in a better way because that was not the optimum way to do things. And a lot of the not doing things in a good way when people become empowered and are given a tool like the Merkaba is because they have a woundedness inside, either wounded or undernourished. And that vulnerability means that they might make poor choices in an effort to feel empowered and get what they want. But I am here to tell you flat out that it's not a positive level of empowerment, and you're not really getting what you want when you trespass and violate someone else's free will. So let's use some real life examples. Let's say you want to put up a Merkaba for stage 2 conscious wish creation regarding getting a particular job. And so I should say, before we even begin with that, the upward facing pyramid of the star tetrahedron is often described as male, but don't think of it in terms of male and female because it's just too confusing within the fraught quagmire of gender politics of your world right now. Okay, so let's call it the upward facing pyramid is active and specific. And that is where you place your intentions of specifically what you desire. So the order of operations to be able to do this is you sit with your legs, in the triangular shape, and envision this upward facing pyramid around you. You envision it with your inner eye or your ability to imagine or your Christ consciousness. And you begin to put your passionate intentions into that force field. You can speak them with your words. You can think them with verbalized thought. You can write them with words on a page, or you can simply feel them in your heart. The verbalization is secondary to the feeling and the creative energy that you're putting into there. And you put specific desires, which are sometimes based in your ego, but your ego is not bad or wrong. I'm not a teacher who says kill your ego or you must totally deny your ego in order to reach spiritual freedom and clarity. No, your ego is positive, but it must be a lean, healthy ego. I'm not fat shaming. I love people of all body sizes. But what I mean is nothing extraneous, the real you. Your ego is supposed to be the real you and nothing that's a cultural imposition, a religious projection, pleasing the government, stuff from your mom and dad, or any other stuff that's a distortion of the real you. And so it's perfectly acceptable if you're like, okay, I'm me, I'm an individual, I have these ego needs and desires, and I want to get my dream job. So this goes even beyond wishing for a specific position. Like if your dream job would be to work for, let's call it Corporation XYZ. And like, oh, that's the best job in the world. I wish I was an executive at Corporation XYZ. But you can't put into your pyramid that you specifically want to work at that corporation, because in many ways that is an improper request, because your dream job might be doing those activities, but at a different corporation. So you have to craft your wish effectively. So putting the languaging is essential, but the specifics of how you even begin this effort is or are essential. Your dream job, you can say, my dream is to be an executive at the level of blah, blah, blah in a company like company XYZ. But if you say it specifically only can be company XYZ, then that means that you are starting to verge on the imposition of your free will upon the human resources manager of company XYZ. And you also have to recognize that although in your ego individuated state, you might think company XYZ, it's my dream, it's the only place that I want to work. But that might not actually be the best dream job for you. That might actually be a diminished dream job that is only the best of what you can possibly imagine right now, and that there's actually something that is better for you, and key point, better for the upholding of the fabric of space-time. And you have to be open to that when you are doing this work. So negative egotism would be, it's company XYZ or nothing for me, and like flounce out the door. That would be wrong. Don't be like that. You have to exhibit flexibility and receptivity in your wish making, because even as you have the upward facing pyramid that is about your specific desires, you also have the downward facing pyramid that you can see. This is shaped like a chalice, like a cup or a vessel. And it has to do with you being open to the nourishment and intentions that come from levels of intelligence that are higher than your present level. You have to recognize that. You can be like, I'm whatever, this smart. I'm like 18% smart, but there's someone out there who's like 37% smart, and someone out there who is 100% smart. And 37% and 100% might have much better ideas about what is your real dream job than you do. And that's fine. You just have to own and respect your present levels of development and joyously recognize that you have things to learn, and that there are those that are either smarter or more informed than you, might be a better way of thinking about it. They have access to greater perspective and levels of information and are genuinely trying to help you. They're even you when you expand your identity. So it would be considered like your own higher self, yourself from the future, your more evolved self, and even the person who is 100% intelligent is God, spoiler alert, who is also you. So please don't think about any of this as a paternalistic external authority figure that says, I know what's best for you, listen to me, it's this, whether you like it or not. And it's not that type of a partnership either. The Merkaba is a balance between your individuated desires and that which is desired for you by a completely loving cosmic presence. completely loving, you would call it a cosmic parent, even though I know that relationships with parents can be fraught and earthly parents are imperfect, but you could think of your cosmic parent as being perfect, knowing you so well that it knows what you want, maybe even better than you know what you want. But you're not just a limp dish rag. Be like, okay, everybody else, give me what I want. I don't even know what I want. Somebody else do it for me. You can't be that way. It is a balance. So this Merkaba signifies a balance. Balance building a bridge between earth and sky, balance building a bridge between individuated ego desires and the larger community of energy and consciousness that you live within, what is desired for you. And when you do this activity of wish making, you will receive something that is a blend of these two influences on reality. So it's what makes it refreshing that there will be surprises. This is positive. There will be surprises. As an artist, I like surprises. When I'm doing my paintings, even though they're very, very mathematically planned out, when I put colors together and when I start to see the way that the imagery is coming forward, I get surprises. And I'm like, that's cool. I like the way that looks. I didn't know that would look that way. That looks effing awesome. I'm happy that that happened. I want to encourage you to look at your life as an artistic exploration. So your life is not merely what some schools of thought describe to you as like a grim death march, hunt for survival, and then one day fall over in the grave. That's not what your life is. Your life is a beautiful adventure and a self-exploration and a self-expression, but it is a balance between what you are emanating outward from you, what you are generating outward from you, and also what is pre-existing, what has been grandfathered in from previous artists and generations, what is influenced from other embodied people, and also the more evolved levels of self. That would be you in the future, or you as an ascended master, or you as God, or you with an enormous amount of accumulated wisdom. And it's all of these factors coming together that create the expression of reality. So I want you to know this is not, when you drive a car, it doesn't mean that you necessarily control all traffic everywhere. You're in a car and you can do a lot of stuff, but you can't necessarily control all traffic everywhere. You recognize that you are part of a larger course of events. And you want to be part of a larger course of events. It's the definition of what it is to be alive and embodied and to be in time, okay? So the description of getting your dream job, you say, I want a job where I have a big desk. You can do that. You say, I want a job where I have a corner office. You can do that. You can even go down to like, I want a job where I wear a particular outfit, you know, like a particular business suit or a particular set of high heels. You can do that. You can even wish for your salary or your salary rate. You can say, I want to earn this much per year. And then you can also say, this is my dream job and I want this because I like doing spreadsheets. Maybe you love spreadsheets. I actually hate spreadsheets, not that much into it, but maybe you love it. And so you'd say, my dream job would be doing spreadsheets all day long, having a 6-figure income, wearing high heels, and having a corner office, all right? And then in the downward facing pyramid, when you are getting ready to press run on this program and make this wish, you put feeling states. You do not put specifics. You put feeling states. And you put into that pyramid something like the feeling of what it feels like to be successful and celebrated and to feel good about yourself. This. In case you can't tell, I'm having a lot of trouble with all the different impingements on my flow today. Get out of there. I don't need that right now. It's very, very, very disruptive. Okay. In your downward facing pyramid, you would put something that is the feeling state of what it is like to be celebrated in the work that you're doing, to have financial stability, to know that you will be able to grow your savings and your retirement account, to feel that you are contributing to an organization and doing meaningful work and using your computer skills. All right. So feeling state is also a feeling where you're like, I want to feel happy when I go to work every day. I want to feel happy when I'm like getting my coffee at the coffee shop and then carrying my briefcase and going to my dream job. I want to feel happy when I receive my paychecks in the mail. I want to feel happy when I hand in my hard drives to my boss and say, here, like I did all this work. Feeling states, all right? And then the critical aspect of making the wish is like actually blowing out the candle. You guys do know that you have a birthday wish, right? Like I am just informing you. Each person on their day of physical birth receives one wish. It's a non-transferable wish and must be used on the actual day of your birthday. But making birthday wishes is very similar to doing Merkaba stuff. When you blow out that candle, then that's like pressing go on that wish. And birthday wishes must be kept secret. Merkaba wishes do not have to be kept secret, but you do have to press run. So after you put your specifics into your upward facing pyramid and you put your non-specifics and feeling states into your downward facing pyramid, you get these two force fields rotating, counter-rotating. So the one that for me as a female sticks outward from my chest and is pointing downward into the earth, I begin to rotate that to the left. And the one that is the upward facing pyramid of specifics, where the vertex sticks outward from my spine, I rotate that around to the right. And what that ends up looking like is this. And this is a screenshot of a collaborative what is the word, animation that I did. I didn't do the computer digital animation. I was a storyboard artist, and I brought the concept and worked with David Lear. He's a former student of this class, to be able to produce this kind of with the skills of a computer animator. And this is a crucial moment in the actual animation video where you can see both of these pyramids are spinning fast. The analogy that I have is when you have a ceiling fan, and when it is not moving, you see it has 5 or 6 separate individual blades, but when it's spinning around, it looks like just one giant flat disc. When these guys get spinning around, this is what it looks like, and you know that you are at top speed when you feel this column of light come through from the top vertex, through the top of your head, through all of your energy centers in the center of your being, and then outward through your connection to the earth, which would be like, the midsection of your pelvis, and then downward into the earth. Column of light comes through you when you get up to speed. And then when you get up to that moment, so you like, get my energy rolling, my energy is spinning, then you also don't have to effort again. So when you're in your meditative state and you're thinking about your dream job, putting all these specifics in there, it is an effort, an act of willpower. Get everything running, feel that column of light up and down the center of your being, and then you must relinquish the microphone, because all of that work where you're making specifics about your dream job, that's like where I need to hold on to something here, like here's my pen. It's like being in front of the cosmic microphone. And you're talking to the cosmic infrastructure and saying, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. And then you press run on your Merkaba, put down the microphone. Because then it is not time to keep on talking. Then it is time to be quiet and experience the truth of what you've created, of what you've sent out. And then you go into your life experience and you explore the expression of this Merkaba. And the answer is also, you don't know exactly when this stuff is going to happen. So in your upward facing pyramid, you might say, I want my dream job by next Tuesday. But in your downward facing pyramid, you must be receptive, because you don't know exactly when you will receive this dream job. And again, you might find that you thought it was going to be company XYZ, but actually it is all along company 123. And the reason why it is not an impingement on the free will of the human resources developer of company 123 is because they actually want you. Company XYZ didn't actually want you, although you wanted them. Company 123 actually wants you. And you can see how this relates to human interactions, all human interactions, romantic interactions where you think, I'm in love with person XYZ, I must marry them. But it turns out they ain't into you. It is not reciprocal. And if you put a Merkaba into it, it would be an unfair twisting of their will and a distortion of the fabric of time space. But when you put specifics into your quest for an ideal mate, like I want someone who is like, likes the outdoors and wants to go kayaking with me, enjoys cooking over an open campfire and, whatever, has green eyes. And then you also are receptive to the feeling state of being loved, being celebrated, finding someone that you can share your life with, and you press run on that partnership. Sometimes it is not person XYZ, even though they have those qualities. Sometimes it's not the person for you, but then you meet person 1, 2, 3, and they have all of those qualities, and most assuredly, they want you. That's big stuff, because you have to balance out your needs and desires with the requirements, needs, and desires of the larger fabric of reality. And you don't want to destroy the larger fabric of reality just so that you can have a romantic fling, or just so that you can have a particular job that enriches you. That's the big thing, because you live in reality. You don't want to destroy the fabric of reality. You want to have yourself be pleased, and you also want to sustain and maintain and add to the fabric of reality. So again, to reiterate, as I've been here as Aurora over the past 22 years or so, I did my Merkaba here, especially like when I think about the time when I jokingly call myself a starving artist, but like, 2005 through 2012, before I moved to California. I had a very, very simple existence in upstate New York in Woodstock, and I didn't have access to a lot of things. And I felt like an outsider, and I had the feelings of frustration that maybe many of you can relate to, where I was always like, I wish I had more money, and I wish I had this, and I wish I had that, and all these different things. And I had to learn that I wasn't making good wishes just simply out of my sense of hunger, disappointment, unhappiness, and that I had to learn to start making my wishes in balance that was respectful of the larger cosmic infrastructure. Basically, that translated to me having more patience, which now I have all the things that I wished for back then, but I simply had to be more patient. So you just have to, again, relinquish the attitude that I would call like the teenager's attitude. That's also a little bit of like that girl in Willy Wonka who's like, Daddy, I want the golden goose and I want it now. Like, not be kind of like a whiny brat about things. But we don't want to judge ourselves either. Because something, all of my wishes that I made back then were, I wished to be able to have more physical resources so I could make more artwork. And I wished for more recognition of the artwork that I had made, because I have a message and I'm here to communicate it with the world. So the more mature way for me to be able to make those wishes that I was making back then would be to wish for recognition, celebration, positive source of resources, freedom to use those resources, and then, of course, being receptive to that which is even greater than I could possibly imagine for myself. All right? The cosmos is not here to kind of smack you down and be like, how dare you wish for things? How dare you have a desire? Because knock you down until we knock that out of you. That is not what is going on. You're actually celebrated in your growth process. I see that there's questions here, and I will get to them. Just give me a moment. Let me drink some water too. No, the cosmos is an incredibly benevolent and loving, generative milieu itself. And it actually wants you to have everything that you want for yourself. But you got a lot of people to please. If you're the cosmic infrastructure, you got a lot of people to please, all right? And so that means that each one of us as individuals, we must be accommodative to the needs of the larger cosmic infrastructure to maintain itself. You don't want to stress the entire fabric of reality just so that you can have ice cream on Tuesday, or just so that you can have a particular partner that you think is the person that you want, or a particular job that you think is the perfect job for you. And when this is the value system that I'm teaching you. So when you embody this value system, you're able to celebrate your own desires, even while you celebrate the needs, desires, and requirements for the context that sustains you. And then it becomes a beautiful partnership where you're not trying to exploit reality. You're not trying to game the system, hack the system, get what I want. I get what I want. I'm looking out for number one. Of course, I'm being totally facetious, and you can tell by my voice. But also, you must advocate for yourself. So sometimes maybe the people in this class might need to learn that lesson too, because you might not be overreachers. You're good people. And you might be like this, be like, no, I'm not going to wish for ice cream. I'm not going to wish for anything. No wishes for me. I'm sure good stuff will come to me. That doesn't work either. You know why? Because you have to advocate for yourself. You have to put forward an impulse, some effort to be able to communicate your desires to the context and to create it. Like if you're an artist, you have to pick up the paintbrush. You have to draw. You have to paint. Your paintbrush is your imagination. You are living your life. You can't just be a passive lump and be like, somebody else paint my life for me. You have to do it. You have to do it. And once we get past traumas and other overlays, traumas are this, like this. I tried and failed, don't want to try again. Or if I try and I reach too far, someone's going to smack me down. That's like, the myth of Icarus and Daedalus and the melting of the wings in the sun. How dare you try to rise higher, smack down from gods, right? This is like an ancient myth, polytheistic myth. You're not going to get smacked down because you flew too high and it melted your wings. But these are traumas that are put into people that inhibit people from even trying. And I want you to pick up your paintbrush and I want you to know you are here for a reason. You are allowed to paint your life. You are given the imaginative and generative aspects of your body that are totally related to your creative sexual energy and esoteric energy flowing pathways, as my language went really bad there, energy as it's flowing through esoteric pathways through your non-physical body. This is all your birthright. It's all stuff that you're allowed to have. You just need to be able to mitigate your desires as an individual to also serve your desires as the collective, all right? And so this is part number 2. So we've got baby steps is Merkaba as an energetic immune system. It's going to protect you from bacon grease and flying glass. That's good stuff. Then you get into adolescence when you are like, just either riding a BMX bike around town or starting to get your learner's permit, and you have greater freedom and greater levels of responsibility, because in both of those situations, you have to observe the rules of the road, respect other people's property, respect the rules of your community. Like in my community here, there's a large central park in town. You're not allowed to ride your bicycle in the park. There's a bike path for that. Ride your bicycle on the bike path. Don't ride your bicycle in the park. It's going to run over people. You got it? And you do that joyfully. You don't give any attitude and be like, I want to break the rules and I want to do this. You can't do that. You can't do that because those rules exist for a reason, non-arbitrary and they're not merely punitive. So these are good rules that you want to know about and that you want to follow. And also by embracing and following those rules, you are able to have a smoother flight. So I told you a large part of learning about this flying with your Merkaba vehicle safely means don't go to bad neighborhoods. And this is big stuff, what I'm going to tell you right now, because pretty much the entire astral realm is a bad neighborhood. And this is tough because I know there are a lot of people right now who they look at the astral realm as an escape and as a playground and as a place that is a place where power emanates from, like empowerment emanates from your activities in the astral realm. But the astral realm is inherently flawed. First, I must define terms. What is the astral realm? It is an imaginative realm that is not the same as the physical cellular realm of embodiment, and it is not the same as the realm of pure energy, which is what I see and paint as these abstractions that you can see here in my studio. It is a construct that is actually non-native and not natural to your being. So ancient concurrent Atlantis, we actually did not have astral realm experiences. This is big stuff. The physical realm that we embodied was so full of adventure and so responsive to our thoughts. We didn't have to have an imaginarium, like an imagination fantasy land where you can go and, pretend to fly or pretend to do these different things. And also sometimes people do psychic warfare there because there is a trickle down or a reverberative process from what you do in the astral realm and how that affects the physical realm. We did not do that. We did not use the astral realm as an intermediary. The astral realm as it presently exists in your world is largely a construct and an outgrowth of the human intellect and the mind that has been implanted in you, which is non-native to you also. The solar plexus implantation of the human OS operating system, which also includes language and many aspects of rational analysis. That's not your natural way of thinking either. And so humans have been changed and genetically modified many times into what your present form is. And the human operating system is not native to you, and it has many, many back doors that your controllers like to use. And your creation of an imagination realm that is known as the astral realm, which has both parts that are individual to you and also collective. So it is a consensual reality. You can go there and visit with other people and have the same experience. Everybody will see the same thing. It is consensual, where it's like if everybody goes to the park here, we would all look at it and say, yeah, there's a fountain there. We all look at it. We agree. You can go to areas of the astral realm where there is an astral fountain. And you will all look at it and be like, yep, we all saw the astral fountain. Then we all came back here and we all talked about it. But we did not do stuff like that in ancient concurrent Atlantis. It was not only not needed or desired, it was not required, and it was not looked at as a position of empowerment. So this is the part that might be difficult for you to hear. The present level experience of the astral realm that you are being offered is strictly satanic. And when I say satanic, I'm referring to a group of extraterrestrials and races or species that use technology. So I am an impulse on the stellar network. Just refer to my handy video from last week. I am not satanic. I fight against that stuff with everything that I have. I do not use or promote technology. And also I have a soul. And these other space races are largely assimilated into the AI. They have lost connection to the divine and to their soul. They use technology and think of the astral realm as a type of digital fantasy land, in the same way that you can have a virtual reality or an augmented reality that is upheld through the actions of, whatever, microchips and servers. That's what you've got going on there, but just using a different form of technology that you are not accessing in your present culture. Still, it's just technology. It is not impressive. And the reason why it's not good to, I'm telling you, don't drive to a particular bad neighborhood. And I'm pretty much saying, like, that whole neighborhood over there, known as the astral realm, don't go there. It's not a good place for you to drive. And you're like, but I heard that there was fun stuff there. And I heard channelers that go there. And I heard all of these adventures that people are having there. And why should I not go there? And because the answer is, it is a realm that is hugely distorted and largely controlled by those satanic, which is technology infested, non-life affirming life forms or organisms. In fact, from my present level of insight, they don't even have bodies anymore, that they come from extinct species that no longer even have a physical somatic form. And pretty much all they've got is a semi-existence that they are able to uphold in that semi-realm that is totally invalid, that you guys know as the astral realm, and that they use that space, space in between layers of existence, to harm and suppress you. That the whole purpose of the astral realm is so that these guys that lost their bodies because they're not good musicians can have a place to bully you from. And when you enter into that realm, they are ready to pound you. They think that you are the stupidest person in the world for going into their realm. When they punch you in the face, they're like, why are you so stupid? Why did you come here? And people take LSD and magic mushrooms and ayahuascas and all of those different things. They are going into the realm of the bullies and they're presenting themselves there. And so here's the person that's taking the psychedelics, like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to explore consciousness, I'm going to explore reality. And they get into their non-physical vehicle and they drive to the worst neighborhoods, and then they get beat up by gangs. And the gangs are like, thank you for presenting yourself so that we could beat you up, violate you, steal from you, and then infest you, and then send you back to your neighborhood where you're infested with lice and all these different pathogens and typhoid. And then you can infect your neighborhood, your regular friends, with all that stuff that we sent you home with. Bye-bye, bye-bye, a-hole. We hate you very much. This is from the evil ones that are in the astral realm. Do you understand? The astral realm inhabitants also love to do this. So that was like basic gang warfare. They love to do this. Okay, you take some ayahuascas or whatever. You're all wildly discombobulated and you're having this imagination experience. And one of these bullies comes up and says, I'm Jesus Christ. And you're all open because you're in your, your psychedelic experience. And you're like, Papa, is it you? And he's like, yes, my son, I am here. I'm here to save you. I'm being totally facetious. I love Christians. I love your faith. I'm not making fun of your faith. I am making fun of the imposters that populate the astral realm, and they love to manipulate people that have a faith. They pee and poop all over your genuine faith, and they do so in the cruelest way possible. So they don't just say like, yes, I am, Jesus, come to me and I will make you feel better. They implant all sorts of negative religious imagery and negative life guidance into people that talk with them. They're imposters. They are not loving. So here's what you need to know. If you are ever going to connect with true Jesus or true Christ consciousness, there will be an unmistakable feeling of love from the heart. Unmistakable. Literally, remember my words. If you're ever talking with some kind of astral otherworldly creature and you're like, hey, do you have a coherent heart signature? Can I feel it? And if you kind of don't feel anything and you're like, was that it? Like, that wasn't real. That was not it. Like, if you have to ask, it was not it. The feeling of love is blazing. It is so strong. It is so profound. It is so powerful. It feels like an ache in your chest. It feels like a lump in your throat. It feels like you're getting small tears coming out of your eyes. But those are physical aspects of it. But it also feels like love, celebration, acceptance, food. It feels like food. And maybe you've never felt it. If you've never felt it, one day you will, and you will remember the accuracy of my description. And if you meet some astral character who purports to be not only Jesus Christ, but there's fake masters of all sorts. Some of them are, Asian Buddhist. Some of them are of the Hindu pantheon. Basically, whatever is your conception of God, there's imposter deities in the astral realm. And they love to come forward and be like, I am your imposter deity, and I'm here to guide you or tell you or teach you or whatever. And you'd be like, oh, cool, you're blah, blah deity. Great. Can I feel your coherent love vibration? And if they can't share that with you, then you have to be like, bye-bye, I'm not talking to you anymore, and get out of there fast, all right? Because it can be incredibly destructive. Religious imposters can be incredibly destructive. What if they pretend to be God or pretend to be a deity, and they say, I've seen you in your private moments and you deserve to feel shame. Shame, you are a bad person for doing what you're doing. Like that, it's abuse. That you're being bullied and abused by something that pretends to be a religious figure. Or what if it tells you, stop eating animals. I shame you for eating animals. You're only allowed to eat lentils. Now go forth and spread my message. Like, you get a lot of this on the astral realm. You got it? Bad neighborhoods. So there are amazing, beautiful places to visit in the highest dimensional realities of truthfulness, but you don't get there by taking a psychedelic and going to the astral realm. So I told you I used to live in upstate New York, a small mountain village known as Woodstock. You might know about it from its association with a music festival in 1969. All right. And there's still a lot of musicians and really super cool artists and people that live there, famous people. But you will not meet those famous people if you just take a bus to Woodstock and get off at the bus stop and sit in the center of town. You will meet weirdos. You will meet people who have severe dental issues, people who are going to try to like get a cigarette off of you, people who are addicts, people who are robbers, rapists, cannibals. I'm just joking, but I'm getting the hyperbolic here. You will meet the worst people at the bus stop. You will not meet very well educated, highly civilized, well-dressed, famous people, even though one time a friend of mine did say that they met David Bowie sitting on a park bench in the middle of Woodstock, and he did live there, and he is not on Earth anymore. So it does happen. Very rare, though. Just keep that in mind. Exceedingly rare. How do you get to the good parties? How would you get to David Bowie's house if you went to Woodstock? You would have to get invited. Do you understand? Like, you would have to have some connection and you would also have to demonstrate that you are a good person that is worthy of being at that gathering, that it's a two-way street, it's reciprocal. They would have to prove to you that they are a genuine and good, valuable person, and you would have to prove that you're a trustworthy, good, and genuine person too. So this speaks to, in large ways, to people's seeking. You're a seeker of knowledge, and when you pop your head into the astral realm, there are many, many unhelpful imposters, but there has to be a way for you to be able to find and connect with great masters, great teachers, those who have come before you, those who exist as guides and loving companions to help you on your journey. You don't have to do everything alone, but you have to know this. The astral realm has been polluted and unhealthy for a long amount of time. And then once this stuff came into your world and into your biology, everything got worse by times like 10 million, all right? So you had problems with imposters on the astral realm and religious distortions and other things like that for many millennia. But with this technological implant, these fibers, this technological stuff, this is an assault on the health of your pineal gland, which is an antenna for realities. So you get fibrous invaders coming into people's pineal glands that absolutely influence what you can see, think, and feel. And so you're not even just taking a regular astral trip. You're not just doing meditation. And you're not just taking a psychedelic like ayahuasca that humans have taken for thousands of years. You're doing all that within the context of a planet that is infested with this. And this stuff goes into people's pineal glands and their whole entire interpretive structure, the whole areas of the brain that are about interpreting what your senses receive. And it's meant to be a complete distortion and control structure to guide you in the wrong direction. It's misguidance. It's the opposite of GPS, God positioning system. It is misguidance, and you don't want that stuff inside of you. So I am telling you, as your Merkaba driver's ed teacher here, not only do you not want to go to certain neighborhoods, that those are never safe places to go, but that even now it's gang warfare. You definitely don't want to go into those neighborhoods. And I have had visions the whole entire time that I've been here as Aurora. It's over 20 years. But since this stuff has proliferated within the past 3 to 4 years, and since they turned on the millimeter wave supposedly for telecommunications, I have had minimal true visionary experiences. Because again, I don't go to the astral. And so you have to hear this. My inner visions do not involve feeling myself in a three-dimensional space like a room and looking at people that have faces, be they human faces or grays or mantids or whatever they are. I don't see that stuff. I don't go and gravitate with my consciousness to that level of awareness that is largely distorted because it is an outgrowth of your 5 senses. So we're talking about the world of pure energy is the world of pure energy. And your body is your physical body of your 5 senses. The astral realm is a distorted and inadequate layer of interpretation of energetic truth through the filter of your 5 senses. And that includes not only what it is to be a body and what your eyesight and hearing and all of these sensations are like, but also cultural implants. Everything about religion, everything about sexuality, everything about how you're supposed to look and how you're supposed to dress and what you're supposed to do and what you're supposed to be, that all baggage all comes with you. And that baggage is strictly temporal. It is temporal ego. So if I go into an astral realm and I envision I'm a woman with a face and hair and a dress, I am bringing with me the baggage of the place that I come from, which is that's a place where people have faces and hair and dresses. And that is not appropriate because the world of pure energy is the world of pure energy. If I go into the world of pure energy, I go in there as myself as pure energy and I interact with pure energy. And that experience to me is beyond descriptives or analogs in the 5 senses and is non-anthropomorphic. It is beyond the definition of your physical bodysuit and into the definition of pure consciousness in the world of pure consciousness, all right? So this might be difficult to hear again because some people have created a large part of their identity or activities throughout the day in their astral efforts. And I think that it's essential to move beyond the astral realm and move into the realm of pure abstraction and empirical energy. It is more of a mathematical realm. I love it there. You know why I love it there? Because everything makes sense. The truth is, the anthropomorphic realm of embodiment here and the levels of distortion in the astral or dream world have been incomprehensible to me. And it's just, I don't think that it's a weak point of mine, but like, I don't really comprehend metaphors, poetry, symbolism, and allegory. I am very literal. And I'm very loving. You can tell I'm the real deal. I'm loving and I'm coming from that energetic level, but I'm also very abstract and analytical, like the way that math is. And math has a very evident answer. 1 + 1 = 2. And in my paintings, circles either fit together or they don't fit together. They're either the right size or they're not the right size. And I love that. And I love that level of reality. And I'm very, very comfortable there. And I didn't always comprehend, even before the invasion of, the fibers and things that have come to this planet, when people would talk about these different symbolic experiences that they're having, I wouldn't really comprehend. Like, they'd be like, yes, like I took mushrooms and I saw a giant rainbow hummingbird, and then it turned into a cactus, and then it turned into a cat, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And that's how I knew blah, blah, blah in my life. And I was just always like mystified because my perception doesn't include that symbolic language. And I mean, I joke about myself here. I'm very self-deprecating when I say, like, I don't understand poetry, but it's true. I don't understand poetry because poetry is an oblique language for being able to speak about things, not, and people would read a poem to me and I would just be like, I do not know what that means at all. And I just, I've sometimes felt a little, I keep telling me going down like this. I'm like, I felt a little bit insecure in my human cultural efforts because some people, symbolic language and poetry and symbolism mean a lot to them. Religious symbolism or rainbow hummingbirds or whatever it is, and that they carry deep messages to them. But I don't relate to that level of cosmic communication and speaking through symbols. I relate to direct communication and to direct truth. And I love it because it is non-negotiable. Like if you see a rainbow hummingbird, you're kind of like, maybe it means this, but maybe it means this, but I don't know what it means this. So if you ever ask me, like, what does that mean? I think I'd be like, I'm not the best person to ask. Like, I don't know if I know what that means. But if I see this stuff that is purely abstract, I do know what it means. And I know what it means because it all comes with an innate descriptive inside of it. That just looking at a circle in that realm, you're like, I totally comprehend everything about what that circle is saying. It's not up for consideration. Or if you see a Merkaba, or if you see a star tetrahedron, or whatever it is, you see a shape and you simply know from looking at it what it is. That's what life was like for me also in ancient or concurrent Atlantis, for all of us. We didn't have this symbolic dream world where we did stuff or had battles or, gang violence or false religious leaders or any kind of things like that. We didn't have that. We just had our alive lives, which were adventurous and expansive, and then also divine connection to the levels of pure energy, which is considered totally abstract and not embodied. And we walked through life with all of those levels active. So it's a very distorted level of this world. I don't mean to sound critical of people that are exploring the astral or are exploring levels of their psychic ability at the level of human interpretation, not knocking you down. But I'm saying if you're doing that, you're not all the way there. You need to go further or get faster. You need to keep going and get faster in order to get into those levels of pure information that is incontrovertible and that is non-negotiable. And you will know it when you're there. And when you do that, you will then yourself look back on and reassess all the things that you saw and experienced and thought you knew were truthful from the astral realm. And you're going to have to take out the trash because you're going to be like, well, this, and this is true. But all of this stuff over here was totally not true. And now I have to throw these entire idea systems in the trash because that no longer serves. Okay. Rainbow Body, you got your hand.
Yeah.
Let's hear.
Hey, some of you might know me from before, I mean, I've been working with Aurora, studying and learning from her for about 5 years. But about 26 years ago, I was a graduate student at California Institute of Integral Studies, where a guy named Stan Grof was a professor. I don't know if any of you know about Stan Grof, but he was a Czechoslovakian psychiatrist who got the first shipment of LSD from Sandoz Laboratories and did the first LSD experiments, psychotherapy, used it on himself. He wrote books about the 4 archetypal stages of psychedelic experiences having to do with the birth matrices and yada, yada. And so at this graduate school, I believe, I mean, I can't say for sure, if you know what I mean, who was passing this to the students, but we were being given through an underground channel, it's not legal, stuff. I'll just leave it there, right? This like stuff. And the first time I did the stuff, I had a positive experience and it was very loving, and I had like the feeling of, the Yeshu feeling. But it devolved and it got weirder and weirder. And I'm so hearing Aurora describe what time zone we're in and what's happened really helps. And then I find it very interesting that right now, all of a sudden, psychedelic therapy has become like a thing for desperate people. And I know that it could help because I've actually been helped by a little bit of ketamine when I needed it as a therapy. But people are going to be taking mushrooms and LSD, and it's just playing with fire. I mean, you might have something positive, but it's very rare anymore. I don't really hear of anyone and if it is positive, I think something terrible can happen in your actual environment. I mean, I don't want to say any more about that, but it's just really not. I think it shows us how far they have overreached into this world. Thank you, Aurora. I just wanted to, it just was a reflection because I was a therapist, and I don't think it's safe, and I think people are being misled. And what you said just, explains it. So thank you.
Actually, really
Aurora.
appreciate your commentary. Thank you for being here and for speaking so effectively. I'm just going to mute you. Yeah, good, for the sake of the audio. It does help with the recording. Thank you actually for what you said, because that really opens a door for me to be able to speak to this more widely. I think that there is some merit in terms of biochemical reset that comes from taking some of these psychedelics. People have been finding really good work with PTSD, microdosing mushrooms. Rainbow Body talked about ketamine. There's ibogaine for reduction in addiction behaviors, specifically opiates, but also ibogaine. I know someone who is able to use that effectively against tobacco, getting, some of these substances have been able to be used for helping people to reset their biochemistry from like extreme depression. Like there is something in them that can be super helpful. But the challenge is the interpretive structure that happens when people start to, what these molecules do is they re-energize the pineal gland and the light body. And that can be helpful for someone that's like almost dead and they need CPR. Like CPR is when they press on your chest. It's like, get alive, get alive. Like, we're going to make you be alive. For some people, their light body is really faltering because we live in this world where there's a lot of dead and false light. And for some people, their light body is like a very, very dim light bulb. It's barely alive. And when they take a psychedelic, it puts light into their light body. And it's kind of like CPR. It's like, get alive, get alive. Your soul is getting energized. But then the problem is the interpretation structure, that as your pineal gland is awakening and you're seeing and accessing all this imagery, not all of it is valid. Some of it is deriving from technology and artificial implants, and not all of it is healthy or helpful to a person on their journey. So the biochemistry might be assisted by microdoses of these molecules, but the psychology and emotional stability of a person might be destabilized as they are being presented by imagery and emotional states and narrative contexts that aren't necessarily healthy or truthful. And it takes a huge amount of inner consideration about whether something is healthy and truthful, even as it relates to religious imagery, as it relates to a person's own ego and their boundaries and their description of who they are in the world. And as another cautionary tale, I mean, because I'm non-judgmental. I hope that is coming across in what I'm saying here, because I work with and help all sorts of people that have taken all sorts of things, and it's not always a negative thing for them. I'll get to your question in a moment. And some people I even work with are facilitators that help other people when they are taking one of these psychedelic type molecules. And the best facilitators are neutral and protective of other people, that they are in sobriety while the other person is in this vulnerable state, in a psychedelic state, and that they're protecting them, they're holding them in a container, and that they then also help them to integrate what they've seen and what they've felt and all of those things. So I just want you to know, like, I'm not just 100% discounting people that do this type of work, but also this is how I've learned that some people, even in their facilitation or sharing mentorship and their own psychedelic experiences, you get super vulnerable because you are connecting to all of these other people. It's just like being in a hot tub that has no chlorine, that it's like the hot tub of fungal infections. Like, you will pick up whatever you're soaking in. So other people might have pathogenesis. Other people might have trauma. They might have all these different things. And when you get into that shared psychic mind state, that you're going to be influenced by other people's destabilizations. And that's not necessarily a positive thing. And that this can relate to ancestral trauma. Like, if you are tripping with someone and they've got ancestral trauma, that might destabilize you, or sexual violence, or any number of things. You just really have to comprehend that that can be unhealthy, in that you're picking up on other people's pathogens and being destabilized. So Mary, thank you so much for being here and raising your hand. I would love to hear from you. You're free to unmute if you would like to. There you go. I'm just going to drink some water while you share with us.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity, Aurora. You know, I love you so much. And Chiqui.
Thank you.
Yes, as a priestess, and I'm a priestess of different shamans, shamanic traditions from South America and also from Africa. And my family, I'm native. And I see in relationship with this, 70% of the people that come to us is people that come from fractalized personalities after they have experienced ayahuasca, peyote, and all kinds of psychedelic experiences. And I always say there are other ways that you can integrate your own frequency. You don't need this external help, which is not really a help, and it takes so long to be able to bring back to the minimum way the way before they start these experiences. It's not good for anybody. Even us as natives that we grow up with this, like in the case of peyote, which is earth that people don't know here, is from the Amazonia, the forest. It's in a specific once a year, and it's a specific tradition inside the tribe, and it's strong, and we don't do it out of these special traditional days. So I know a lot of people in the United States and other places like to experience this kind of, and everybody has to go through whatever experience they need, but it's very dangerous.
I truly thank you for that warning, and thank you because it comes from your level of expertise and your own level of cultural connection to how these substances, I guess, ideally can be used. So truly, thank you, Mary, for sharing. Thank you for that warning, and thank you. We respect you very much in what you've been able to bring here. It's totally non-judgmental, but a very good warning. So this is like very helpful for our driver's ed class. Thank you. Appreciate it. Gratitude. Yeah. So, cautions about where you're going to visit. With this Merkaba force field of intention, you're generating and creating different reality structures, and you are getting the responsibility and freedom to be able to explore other dimensions and otherworldly places in reality. But you really have to do it in a sensible and safe way. So that I'm going to get to all the questions today, but first let me just get to, that's a good segue into the final usage of the Merkaba. from the very, very beginning novice, using it as an immune system, to the intermediary, which intermediary stage can take years or decades. It can be a lifetime of mastering that, the capacity to respectfully make wishes and contribute to reality. And the third thing you can do with it, which is why I'm telling you always, oh my goodness, hold on one moment, please. Apologies, that was actually a positive interruption for us here. The third thing that you can do with your Merkaba is to actually learn how to travel interdimensionally. And that's why I say that my teaching for you is more than just teaching you how to run on the hamster wheel and how to be limited or diminished. So the lower dimensional teachings that keep you in the flat plane, the crushed DNA that keeps you in a lower dimensional state. These are the things that when I teach about Merkaba, some people are innately skeptical because they're like, oh, the Merkaba as a limitation and control system from the world of hard-edged geometry. And I would say that that is more along the lines of what people know as Metatron, Metatron's cube, and the similar imagery of the star tetrahedron that you see in the Metatronic cube. But I'm drawing a distinction. And as I was walking cheeky this morning and thinking about how I would articulate this in class, basically I wanted to say that anytime that there is something that is the real deal, the negative side co-opts it and steps on it or dilutes it. And so that's what your skepticism is well warranted, and that those control structures and limitations exist in part, these are partial recipes that don't give you the real step-by-step instructions about how to do these things, and also that contain glass ceilings or limitation structures that you can never rise above or move beyond. So I am not that type of a teacher at all. And in this moment, I prove and demonstrate that I'm not just giving you the Merkaba as a containment force field where you're endlessly running on the hamster wheel, but you never actually get anywhere. No, just like me, I walk on a treadmill, but this is just my training exercise. And then at a certain point, I actually get off the treadmill and I go somewhere. So doing the Merkaba, the first 2 levels, is your training exercise. You're building muscles. The muscles that you're building are also about your value system and your personality and your characteristics, where you are demonstrating and earning the responsibility of the highest levels. And then the highest levels of Merkaba are when you transform from a star tetrahedron shape into an octahedron shape. And this little crystal right here, let's try to hold it properly so you can see it better. This is an octahedron. So I hope you can see that it's got a pyramid that is shaped kind of like a square. And then also when I hold it on its edge, it looks like those 2 pyramids end to end. And if I hold this in just the right way, see if the lighting is going to help us today in class. If I hold this in just the right way, through the front face of that crystal, you should be able to see the star tetrahedron. This is the leap into the next highest dimension. And I'm going to draw it out for you so that you can really know the mechanics of this. Your vehicle for transport of yourself is your body. This is the antithesis of any kind of clank metallic technology. This is not that at all. This is the type of self-cultivation energy force field that is done by spiritual athletes. So to be able to do this, you must be a spiritual athlete. And again, I mentioned it can take a lifetime of self-cultivation to be able to do this effectively. Getting this picture over here, let's work with this picture right here. So I also need to just overtly state that the Merkaba, although it is shaped like what is known as the Star of David and is affiliated with the Star of David is affiliated with the nation state of Israel. This is not in any way, this concept and this teaching and what I've shared with you here is not in any way affiliated with the nation state of Israel or limited to Jewish people. This predates the nation state of Israel. This predates Judaism, their value system, or anything that they propose. And it just might be the thing that you are most familiar with in terms of the culture that you're embedded within. But first, I'm just going to draw a basic outline here around this star tetrahedron. And then you'll see, you're like, oh, like that looks exactly like the flag of Israel or the Star of David. And indeed, it does, but that this is not simply for Jewish people. That was just a not good. I have to rewind. Sometimes I'm like, can't take it, or my drawing isn't perfect. I'm a good artist, but doesn't always show in this digital context. Okay, so that's just a simplified line drawing. And now what I'm going to do is put in some extra lines. I'm going to put in this line here, this line here, this one here, and this one here. And then this goes to here, and this goes to here. It's not the best drawing in the world, but this is going to help us to be able to see how through a change in perception, we are entering into a higher dimension. So now I hope that you can see, if I highlight this, is the front face, like that little crystal that I showed you. That's the front face. This is the side face. So that's 1, 2, I'm already counting, it's math, 3. There's one face that points away from us. I'll just make a line. This is the one that's in the back there. And then here is 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 are on the back. I went too fast. Stop, rewind. Okay. Consider that to be your appetizer. Now let's get into the actual meat and potatoes. This third thing that you're doing is a change in your perception. Just like looking at an optical illusion or a magic eye painting, the paint doesn't actually rearrange. The pixels on the screen do not actually rearrange. In an optical illusion, what rearranges is you. Your perception shifts and changes the raw data that is reaching your sensory apparatus, and you interpret it in a new way. That is the leap into the next highest dimension. That is the third use of the Merkaba, jumping off of your treadmill and actually traveling interdimensionally. In order to do so, you must master the initial lessons so that you have a healthy immune system, keep out negative time occurrences, move towards and generate positive time occurrences, and you learn all about what are the neighborhoods to avoid. And also, I mentioned that in your level 2 intermediary explorations, having enough gas in your car to get there and get back. The gas in your car is energy. It is literally the currency of unconditional love, and you need to be able to have enough of it to go where you need to go. So the higher faculties of your throat communication, eye of insight, and connection to the divine all rest upon the tone of unconditional love. And you have to have enough of that, or a strong enough tone, to be able to support the activities of the higher faculties. So also, that's my not to harp on it too much, but my brief criticism of, taking a molecular psychedelic helper to get you up to these higher faculties level is that the love currency that you're supposed to cultivate, it actually comes from the entire lower structures of your foundation of reality. It comes from having a body, eating good food, doing good exercise, getting plenty of rest, doing your yoga, spending time in meditation. That is how you cultivate love. And that not necessarily any of you guys, but when I look at things like the festival scene or various different rock and roll parties and things like that, they're the antithesis of the healthy activities that you should be doing to cultivate the gas in your car. That the rock and roll lifestyle is basically drinking too much, eating too little, staying out all night, getting very little sleep, and doing other questionable activities. All of those things are corrosive to your love. They are not actually generative of love. And then the taking of a molecular helper, it's kind of like growing a tomato, but it's on a very, very skinny stem and with no roots. It's very, very not healthy for a plant. So if you want to grow a tomato as the fruit of the flower of your mind, you must begin with the roots, which are body cultivation and health and proper nutrition and rest. And then you must also have your stem and your leaves, which are your ability to hold yourself up and generate energy. And that's largely positive meditation practices. And then once you master that and get enough love or petrol, gas in your car, then you are able to activate the higher faculties and actually begin to do some of this work of, psychic travel, imagination, and also healing, self-healing, healing of yourself, healing of others. But all of those are the flowers. And then the fruit is creating an actual reality, giving birth to an actual higher dimensional reality. So having enough gas in your car to do these activities means that you have to have enough unconditional love tone to get through these energy vortexes, is the best way I can say it, energy force fields, and also to be able to return. That, I would also say there are some people who have suffered psychedelic injury where they haven't fully returned, or they are fragmented, or parts of themselves have been left or sequestered in various different, higher, otherworldly prisons is a better way of saying it. And we don't want that to happen. So you need to make certain that you have enough fuel to get to where you need to go, and then also to return. And that means returning to your body. And this also, I will just speak, gently to the concept of escapism, because I am very much, again, teaching you about integrating even more fully into your body, and that is the road to enlightenment, as opposed to many different spiritual schools that teach you that disassociation from your body is the road to enlightenment. To deny yourself food, deny yourself water. Sometimes, this is beyond the rock and roll lifestyle. This is like the ascetics lifestyle, to sometimes, sit up all night in meditation, but to do all these different things that are a denial of the flesh, and then eventually a separation of spirit from flesh, so that your consciousness is free, but your flesh is really, I think the word is mortified, because literally, like, you're making it die. And so I'm, again, not trying to cast aspersions on other people. I'm just saying that's not what I teach about, and I don't think that's healthy or good. I teach about, like, taking great care of your body. In fact, take the best care of your body. You need to eat the best food. You need to drink the best water. You guys wonder, why do I'm not just here with an affectation of my special wine glass here. I drink this out of a wine glass on purpose. I make my water so special, and I structure it and crystal energize it and do all these different wonderful things to it. And then I love the fact that I have this, beautiful shaped drinking vessel to drink it from, to maintain its structure. All of that is intentional. Your water really matters. Your food really matters. Your environmental your energy environment really matters too. And that's everything from using incandescent lights and staying away from LEDs, to having shungites and organites and other positive things, and like my art, and even your music, even having a positive force field of music. So you have to do the best things that you possibly can for your body in order to facilitate this type of work. And then I am an advocate for getting you to comprehend that you're going to integrate your physical structure into your spiritual attainment, not leave it behind. That means you're not going to have a dead corpse while you fly off in freedom. And so you're not going to have escapism during your life. You're going to have integration during your life. And then you're not going to die and leave behind a corpse. You will transform. This is the highest of what you can possibly do. And you have the opportunity to do this at this moment on your planet. So please avail yourself of this opportunity. You do not have to die a physical death, and I don't think that is the most efficacious way for you to become enlightened or to reach highest levels of spiritual freedom. I think the highest levels of spiritual freedom include fully integrating your psychic presence and your spirit and your energy into your physical cellular body, and then being fully able to manage consciously the activities of having a body. And this might be incomprehensible to you, but when you get to those levels, you will be able to manage your glucose metabolism. You'll be able to see whether there's pathogenic infections inside of your body. You'll be able to clear out energy or organisms that don't belong there. You'll be able to heal from old injuries. Like if you had something bad that happened to you and it left a scar, you'll be able to regenerate to the point where you pretty much don't even see a scar anymore. You'll be able to do things that are considered miraculous in terms of transforming your body. And that's just the beginning, because you will also be able to master other aspects of your body as your light body awakens. And these are considered to be miracles or charismas that many spiritual masters have developed in this world. Like you might be able to manifest matter directly. Make a thing. Do not buy a thing at a store. Make a thing with your mind. You will be able to do that. And you're not going to do something silly like whatever, make a cheap plastic toy or something like that. Like you will make something that is magnificently valuable and very, very required in the moment that you make it. So you're not going to just make something for nonsense purposes, because again, the whole point of going through these experiences and efforts is to learn the value system, so that when you get more, you get more and more responsibility with more and more power, and then you demonstrate that you are worthy of gaining more and more power as you are more and more responsible. And God would be considered the ultimate powerful being and the ultimate levels of responsibility. This is real God, not satanic God, all right? So you are on that journey towards self-remembrance and becoming again that level of consciousness known as God, where you are fully empowered and fully responsible for your creation. Spoiler alert, right? But you're not there yet. So what you're doing is beginning with your individual physical embodiment, where you learn how to totally care for and cultivate this body, and you learn how to take full responsibility for what's happening in your body. And then as you master that, then you're able to do even more. And sometimes when you master something for yourself, then you're able to do it for others. So healing and regeneration for yourself, you're able to master it and even do it for others. And there are amazing stories of people who have done this in their lives. These are very, very real attainments, is what I'm trying to say. So the final attainment with the Merkaba is being able to travel interdimensionally. And when you do it, you're not adding anything or taking anything away from you. You are just rearranging what you have. This has everything to do with rearranging the water in your body into what is known as a liquid crystalline or fourth phase of water state. You can do great research if you would like. It is called fourth phase of water, or EZ. EZ meaning exclusion zone. Dr. Pollock is the guy that you mostly want to look for videos. There's lots of good stuff on YouTube, and I can link it for you if you want. Dr. Pollock did some very, very good work, and he is not like a wild spiritual, creative person. He is a rather middle of the road, scientific, rationalist person, did a lot of really good experiments with water, and has been able to demonstrate that there is a phase of water somewhere in between the disarranged and random, quote unquote, molecular structure of liquid water and the very, very highly ordered structure of crystalline frozen water. I've already talked to you about like the beautiful snowflake and how water crystals arrange into these perfect formats. Well, there is a way that water is arranged when it is more fully arranged than randomized water molecules, but it is not cold and static or non-moving as a frozen water crystal is. And this is called the fourth phase of water. And a healthy human body, when you're in your levels of spiritual attainment, actually contains an enormous amount of water that is in that phase. If this is a cross-section of your blood vessels, the epithelial cells that line the inside of your blood vessels help to create that exclusion zone of water, which is like a layer of water that's in your blood plasma that is lining all of the veins and arteries of your circulatory system. And the key point is that it is charged. It holds an electrical charge, and the way that it interrelates to the physical tube that it is running through, there's much less friction, and it makes it possible for the fluid dynamics of your blood to move more effectively and with less effort. So your heart is not merely a materialistic pump that is like ka-chunk and everything circulates through your body. Your blood is charged in this state and becomes frictionless, is able to move through your body with much less effort. And that's just one example, because you also have highly structured water around your DNA in the nuclei of your body. And that highly structured water is an antenna as much as DNA is an antenna, sending and receiving higher dimensional insight and information. Water itself is a carrier of information, and it is a antenna to healthy and life-affirming levels of, again, insight and information that speaks to your DNA and informs it of what it needs to be doing in each moment in order to stay healthy and alive. Mitochondria also exhibit some aspects of their metabolic process that contains or emits highly structured levels of easy water. So basically, when you drink structured water, you are helping to create structured water inside of your own cellular body. And the activity of structuring the water inside of your body is how you go through the frequency door. So if everything inside of you molecularly is disarranged, you can't go through the frequency door. You're like, where's the frequency door? I'm like, it's right here, but you can't go through it because you are not shaped right. So in order to do interdimensional travel, you have to reshape yourself down to a molecular and atomic level so that you can go through the frequency door. This is the whole purpose of going through all this self-cultivation and attainment. Yes, you can restructure your glucose and the metabolites, cell membranes, all these different things. You do it not for random or capricious reasons. You do it so that you can restructure yourself and be the right shape to go through the frequency door. And you don't want to go through the frequency door into horrible places, nonsense places, or traps. You want to go into positive and life-affirming places that would be considered like my home where I live as Aurora, or higher dimensional places, or other worldly places outside of the fabric of space-time dimensionality. You want to go to good neighborhoods, that's what I'm trying to say. You want to go to good neighborhoods. You want to get invited to good parties. I didn't finish that sentence. Yeah, you have to get an invitation if you want to go to a cool rock star's house. You got to get an invitation. And if you really want to hang out with the masters and not be fooled by imposters, bullies, and vampires, you have to get an invitation. You have to really connect with them. So now let's go through the mechanics of how you do this rearrangement. So in your body, you're not getting rid of water or adding water. You're restructuring what is there. You're also restructuring your carbon. And this is the attainment of your diamond body. Vajrayana is what it is called in Buddhism. Your indestructible diamond body of attainment. Again, to turn the disarranged levels of carbon into diamond, you don't take away or add. You just rearrange the puzzle pieces of what you have there. And it completely redefines that substance. And when you do this transformation on a molecular level, you become a light being in that you become translucent, light moves through you. Right now, you are semi-solid because you are not that well arranged. But the difference between coal or a diamond, the molecules become more perfectly arranged so that light moves through them. You can see this is not as clear as a pane of glass, but it's pretty clear for a crystal, and light moves through it. Light moves through you. Light moves through you as information and energy and wisdom. And it is part of the rearrangement of your body on a cellular structure. But what you're going to do is be more than just a physical cellular body. You're going to integrate the perfection, the cultivated perfection of your physical body into the cultivated perfection of your energy body. And you're going to gain an additional angle, which is the 90-degree angle, and you're going to be able to jump perpendicular into another world. So we're going to start off with the same number of triangles. These are the same number of little guys that make up this and make up this, that are making the star tetrahedron shape, all right? But what I'm going to do is rearrange these puzzle pieces so that one of these faces slides up like this here, showing you. One of these faces slides up like this, and then you have that shape that mimics the Great Pyramid in Egypt that has a square base. And I'm going to try to do that same maneuver. My other hand. This is the hardest part of class. I'm going to fiddle with stuff now. Doing it is actually much less hard than doing it with these models. We'll get there. So now you have a pyramid like the Great Pyramid and one that is upside down. And then what we're going to do is connect these two together so that you have an octahedron. And when you have an octahedron, I can't hold it effectively with one hand, but you have an 8-sided shape. and you haven't added or taken anything away from your star tetrahedron, you have simply rearranged it. So let me do it like this, because I can't hold it effectively and count. It's like Sesame Street. I love Sesame Street. We're going to count together, okay? Pretend that I'm holding the one that's on the bottom, okay? We're going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the one that's on the bottom, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now let's go back to that picture. Going to draw it for you again. Okay, we got this right here. Oh, wait, let's use this one right here. Get the annotation, draw a picture. Boom. Oh, that actually worked good. Boom. 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 Fantastic. And then this like this, and then this like this, and then this like this. Let's count. Get a different color so you won't be confused. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8's on the back. You still have 8 sides. You have rearranged them. This aspect of rearrangement has everything to do with transforming your perception. If I were to show you an optical illusion, if you look at it one way, I've done this in class so much, let's just do it. I have to squint and scroll. I didn't prepare for class. Just do it. It's right here. Just press a button. Press another button. Sorry to waste your time. Because it's right here. It's in my files. Important stuff to share with people. I'm making funny faces. You can laugh at me. It's okay. We'll get there. That's the optical illusion I want to share with you. Okay. This one right here, this famous optical illusion. Hey, if you look at it one way, that looks like a young lady kind of turned in profile with a feathered hat. And then if you look at it in another way, it looks like an old lady with kind of a pointy chin wearing a babushka, you know, like a headscarf. Young lady, old lady, young lady, old lady. I didn't erase anything with my pencil. I didn't show you 2 different pictures. I didn't change the retinas of your eyes. All that changed as you look at that image is your system of interpretation. When you do this third maneuver of expertise with the Merkaba, you're not adding anything to your body or taking anything away from your body or adding or taking away things from reality structure. What you're doing is changing your perception of the existing reality structure. You are taking the puzzle pieces of the water and carbon in your body and rearranging it into a new format. And you're taking the raw information of the waveforms of reality that you are swimming amidst in terms of time, and you are interpreting them in a new way. This is totally not a rational exploit. This is not an intellectual something that you can do. Just like running a marathon is not intellectual. You can read a book about running a marathon, but you will not get the muscles of a person who ran a marathon. You got it? It is something that is experienced and lived. And it is the ultimate in attainment to do this level of self-cultivation and get to the point where you can transform your star tetrahedron shaped energy field into your octahedron and go into a higher dimensional state. Again, it's a huge attainment, and it takes an enormous amount of like energetic hygiene and effort. You have to do it, and do it in the right place is not the right way of saying it, but it's hard to do it when there's all this 5G millimeter wave frequency poop crapola. That's very, very difficult. And more to the point, this stuff being in human cellular structure makes it a very, very difficult marathon to run. That's like trying to run a marathon like on broken glass with no shoes. Very, very, very difficult. And that's why this stuff has been sprinkled on top of your breakfast cereal, because somebody doesn't want you to be able to run the marathon and transform and get into higher dimensional realities. So yes, there has been a control structure. This information that I just shared with you, first of all, I will reaffirm, is totally threatening to the ongoing control structure, both secret societies, evil dark magicians, satanic genetic splicing, and everything that is nano-techno AI that's trying to come inside of you. They all hate the Merkaba because it is so powerful and so amazing as a tool for personal development and transformation. They have done everything that they can. Sorry, that words came out wrong. These control structures have done everything that they can in order to keep this information suppressed. So that's why this information about Merkaba for many years was held in obscurity, like it was held in secret societies, oral transmission. It was not easy to find information about this. And it wasn't maybe until like the 1980s or so that this started to become more widely disseminated, because the secret magical societies that held this information all came out along with many, many other empowerment teachings, because this is the time in human development when you need all of those things. You need to know about all of these things and have tools in your tool belt to even have a chance to be able to run this spiritual or soul or energetic marathon. So the control structures don't like it. The control structures would have edited it out of reality and destroyed it from human consciousness if they could have. It was held in secret and held in trust, and now it has proliferated outward, but it's proliferated outward in some very incomplete ways. So that the partial strudel recipe. So first, this is, okay, I'll be consistent with my analogy. The evil ones, they're like, no strudel for you, but people keep it secretly alive. And they're like, okay, we'll let them have the partial strudel recipe. And you end up with kind of like lumpy mush. It's like, that's not real strudel, but the real strudel recipe does exist. And it's what I've just given to you, but it requires an enormous amount of technique. It is more than just flour and water and salt. It's the activity of cultivating that dough, rolling it out, and creating the proper texture that really makes that pastry so fantastic. So these are attainments and meditations and self-cultivations that are a whole technique that is not something that is simple, easy, or pat, and literally can take an entire lifetime of focus to get to that level of attainment. But it's also hugely empowering. It's not a tool for warfare, which is why I didn't want it to seem like it was something that was only a martial art and that is only something for kicking ass. It is a dance, and it is for doing something that is more than decorative. It is, it's a locomotion type of dance that brings you into different places. But it also is the huge level of empowerment that means that you don't have to be fighting in warfare. When you're able to have a direct rapport with time, if someone's gonna attack you on Tuesday, you'd be like, I think that I will change something to happen on Monday so that that attack doesn't happen on Tuesday. You understand? Like when you are a black belt of being able to, fly through time, you don't have to have a bunch of fist fights or wars, because you learn how to change reality structures and not be constantly attacked. Not just ways of defending yourself or shielding yourself, but really ways of redefining events and transforming time on a higher level. This is what you actually do. So it's a huge empowerment. I don't know if that even got through your intellect. I'm not condescending to you at all, but I feel like I didn't articulate that very, very well. But the best superpower is not like Hulk's superpower. So the Hulk is strong, the Hulk can smash things, right? Or the flame can light things on fire. Or Superman can fly. It's the guy who can control time. Because if you can control time, then you can prevent someone from connecting their fist to your face. You can prevent them from being in your path. You can prevent them from being able to attack you. You can even change their birth so that they're not in existence. You can do a lot of stuff, but we return now to the value system that I've been teaching you in terms of not just capriciously or self-centeredly making wishes. When you get to the level of being able to turn into an octahedron, you're not just doing that type of stuff in self-serving or capricious ways. You are doing that in a way that is in accordance with cosmic law and larger time structures, and that is not merely for your own survival and longevity and pleasure, but is for the survival, longevity, and pleasure of the entire fabric of space-time. So you really become fully embedded in time and complementary to larger time structures. So you get a superpower, but you can't just use your superpower to do whatever the F you want. You have to use it to serve the entirety. All right. And then that activation of that superpower and being able to travel in that way, you might go on a large voyage. I don't want to say an endless voyage with no return, because you are continually anchored in your previous experiences, but it is different than thinking like that you will like hop in and out of realities, like, you know, hop in and out and then come back to your mundane existence and then, you know, go buy coffee at the store. It will not be that way. I think that you will move into higher levels of superior expression and embodiment, and you will not activate and live in lower levels of reality. I know that's, I'm like giving you a teaser, because the truth is it can be many, many different things, but I don't want you to think that it's like, oh yeah, like I woke up in the morning, like octahedron, did a bunch of adventures, and then I came back and made a cup of coffee. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think that once you get to this level of attainment, that everything in your moment-to-moment existence is redefined, including your experience of time. And it is a huge deal. It is, each one of these stages is like a coming of age empowerment. Okay, like learning to tie your shoes, and then learning to have your driver's license, and then learning to travel interdimensionally. And you don't go back, you don't de-evolve after you have learned these things. They are significant of having reached a new plateau of existence, and you then explore that new plateau of existence. So thank you so much for your patience while I'm getting to all of these questions over here, because it's been like, I did like 2.5 hours of talking. So thank you for waiting patiently while I'm finally getting to your questions. Okay. Melly, thank you for being here, says, is the flying rainbow lasagna an advanced or transformed Merkaba? I would say I wouldn't, thank you for that question. It's a great question. I wouldn't define the flying rainbow lasagna as a Merkaba, because the Merkaba has as its shape, as its polygon foundation, this pyramid-shaped tetrahedron. And then you take this and you add another one and you spin it around, and that's how you get Merkaba, right? And the flying rainbow lasagna has as its foundation this curvilinear shape that we know as the chakras. And when you take this and you add another dimension and you spin it around, you get this. So it has commonalities in that both Merkaba and flying rainbow lasagna are higher dimensional versions of a less complex, lower dimensional shape. And each one of them is about journeying through time or higher dimensions. And each one of them, when you get to your higher dimensional state, involves gaining an additional degree of freedom. But these two things are slightly different and complementary. So I always use the Merkaba just as a part of my day. And before I do my flying rainbow lasagna, and when people see me do my dance, you might occasionally see me do this fast little thing where I go like this. That's my little shorthand, like shields up. And I'll do that throughout my dance, because what I'm doing is flying or swimming through time. And so I have my protective force field up to deflect away any negative time occurrences. What is unique about flying rainbow lasagna from the Merkaba is that we are bringing together formerly divergent realms. So we have greater levels of pattern making that are possible than are possible in the traditional Merkaba. Traditional Merkaba, I would say what you're doing is working with the established recipes of what's on the menu of reality. And sometimes those recipes are chef's choice, chef's special, which is the receptive downward facing chalice, but it's still a recipe that is already in existence. And flying rainbow lasagna is the capacity to create wild, unexpected new recipes in the moment. That's how I relate to the infinite improbability drive of the fictional Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Press that button in that movie and literally anything can happen. But you know what that also means? Weird, unpleasant stuff. And when I do flying rainbow lasagna, I don't want weird and unpleasant stuff to happen. What I want is for things to get better focused, better structured, more health, more longevity and vitality. So this is not just merely anything goes, all boundaries are removed, you know, like do whatever you want. Although I encourage people to dance in their own unique way, there is such a thing as good music or bad music. There is such a thing as like this chord is an A and this chord is a C. This is the musical foundation. There is such a thing as whether you're working within the patterns, and Flying Rainbow Lasagna is everything about working within those patterns, but its key point, a total innovation. So it's like jazz. Jazz is very hard. You have to be really, really good and know a lot of musical foundation because you are making stuff up in the moment. And it's easy to make stuff up that's bad, but it's hard to make stuff up that's good. So I use the Merkaba in order to protect my creative process when I'm doing Flying Rainbow Lasagna, protect me from making bad jazz and make it so that everything that I'm innovating and improvising in the moment is healthy, good structure, and adds to the overarching consistency of reality, keeps things alive. And your next question says, what you are describing about the use of the Merkaba and how to utilize the two pyramids sounds like brain and heart coherence. Beautiful, beautiful. And I think that that's an apt interpretation through the human experience. The intellect as being the active, specific desires that go upward into the upward facing pyramid, and also the ego desires, and the heart as being the receptive, emotional, and connected to divine, positive, divine, benevolent intervention, or guidance from greater levels of intelligence. That is very much what those things represent. And also even the sense that the downward facing pyramid, I already showed that to you in the drawing, it sticks outward from the heart. So just imagine this is a lot bigger, sticks outward from the heart and then points downward into the earth. So the symbolic meaning or significance for that is in mastering matter and the world of earth, maternal womb-like existence of matter that we are in, the heart is absolutely essential. That we're not just here to exploit matter. You get it? We're not just here to be like, I do what I want. Matter's dead and stupid, and I get to hoard as much treasure as I want to, and also treat people badly. That's not proper use of matter. That we're looking into what is the responsible and elevated use of matter itself, like atoms and molecules itself. Because all of this stuff that we use, it comes from earth. It comes from an alive presence that is maternal, loving, and supportive of us. So it's like saying like, wow, like I'm in so much gratitude. I'm so appreciative of even having atoms and molecules and a body to inhabit. And then I want to influence matter and use it and in a way that is positive for myself and positive for others. I hope that that is recognized as being very, very different, maybe even antithetical to the materialist, rationalist, scientific mindset that doesn't respect matter. It just looks at matter as a bunch of stuff to be used. It doesn't represent it as a gift from the living presence of life, that we're here in a womb, that we're given this stuff to be able to learn and grow from our interactivity with it and our embodiment in it. And even the way that science experiments are done, not like the Large Hadron Collider is like, let's smash matter into matter and we'll learn about, like, that is not good. That is like little babies that are like, let's throw our Cheerios on the floor and see what happens. Like, of course, a lot of weird things is going to happen, but that is not respectful. That's, very limited. These lack of respects. I also wanted to say some of the experiments, because, matter is alive and the Large Hadron Collider is a disrespect of matter at that level. But also looking at experiments, even with flatworms, they're called planaria. And there's many over hundreds of years, kind of well-known scientific experiments that have to do with like cutting planaria in half because they replicate their asexual reproduction. So you cut off their head, they grow a new head. Science is like, let's do that again. And let's do it and pour the weird chemicals on them and see what happens. And that is not respectful. that is not respectful of matter, and that is not respectful of life. So there's a huge missing piece in terms of respect for matter and respect for life, as science as a questing mindset is being employed in your world right now. I was just very, very generous by calling it a questing mindset, okay? But yes, the idea of Merkaba also does relate to Flying Rainbow Lasagna in the sense of balance. You know, we've got the balance of like an analysis, analytical intellect with heart, the balance of matter and pure energy or ephemera. And Flying Rainbow Lasagna has similar levels of balancing out dualities, where you have energy and entropy, being and non-being, inside and outside, and other levels of seemingly things that have been seemingly in diametric opposition, but in this shape, they are resolved as part of a unified whole. So I would say Merkaba is a great precursor to Flying Rainbow Lasagna, but Merkaba still does exist in a world of duality. And then Flying Rainbow Lasagna, this brings us to a world of total non-duality. But I would also say that that non-duality is only dangerously misinterpreted if a person hasn't gone through the other steps of development that bring them to that comprehension of unity consciousness, you know, oneness, and no conflict between either like light versus dark, hot versus cold, good versus evil, all those things. These things are not actually interchangeable. So I'm always cautious that my work is not taken out of context, misinterpreted, or simplified erroneously. But Melly, I really appreciate your questions and comments, because Merkaba and Flying Rainbow Lasagna are both very interconnected and interdependent and very complementary as energy tools. And just remember, so Merkaba has existed in ancient concurrent Atlantis, or over millennia of recorded human history from this perspective, but it was not enough. And that Flying Rainbow Lasagna is my innovation as like, you're going to need one of these. Like, if you really want to fix all of this stuff that's going on, you're going to need one of these. And that really allows you to create and generate completely new recipes for reality that are the ultimate in healing and restructuring. Charlie B says, my understanding is that the Pooties cannot produce a coherent love vibration, but they can produce a cocaine hit high stimulus, parentheses, which some people might interpret as feel good and thus confuse with the love signal. Great comment. I appreciate your addition here so much. I appreciate what you're saying here so much in adding to this conversation. Because if you have never felt what real love feels like, you can be fooled by biochemical frequency manipulation. So Charlie B and I have talked a lot about this in our technology series, which is on my Patreon. Talk about something that is called electroceuticals in this world. So I've experienced it. I've experienced many different types of, it's a directed energy weapon and a frequency manipulation tool that is not consensual, that has been beamed at me and other targeted individuals, that can make you feel an array of different feelings. And some of them might feel like you've been given a drug or an opiate or a stimulant or a cup of coffee or whatever it is. And none of this is consensual, and none of this is positive or healthy or should be done to anyone. It is because you're in this warlike situation where humanity is being experimented upon with frequency warfare to see what frequencies do to biology. And these, what did you call them? You call them Pooties, yeah, Pooties. So these would be like demonic, non-embodied beings, but also those who serve them, who are in embodiment here in our world, who are like not good people. All of those guys have been working together to on an esoteric level, working with just energy, but some working with technology that emits energy. So like, I've got these speakers here in my room. They're an example of technology that emits energy. It's called music, but they also have all sorts of frequency emitting and frequency disrupting technologies that can be beamed at humanity, some of which are disguised as supposed telecommunications infrastructure, and that is not what they are. So just know you're in a frequency war, and that these errant signals aren't just random, and they sometimes are vectored in on certain people intentionally, and sometimes they carry signals that are biochemical disruptants. And they sometimes cause, those biochemical disruptants can cause diseases that mimic things like neurological diseases like Parkinson's or MS or any of that stuff. It's because of frequency that is being beamed at and through people. And so, yeah, they do imposter stuff, just like there's imposter Jesus in the astral realm, don't be fooled, but they also do imposter feel-good stuff, which is that ladder of operancy. And there's a whole it's like a whole Dungeons and Dragons role-playing level of reality that some of these people are engaging with in unhealthy explorations of the imaginarium world combined with electroceuticals or frequency carrier beams that affect your cell membranes, neurology, and biology. And that basically it's a reward punishment labyrinth, a game, quote unquote. If you do the right thing, you get happy zaps. And if you do the wrong thing, you get sad zaps. And sometimes the sad zaps are not just about sadness or depression. Sometimes they are about like profound physical pain or sexual violation or something like that. And this is totally non-consensual, disgusting, wrong, harmful, and it's everything that I fight against. But that's what's been going on in your world. And so, yes, you must be warned against this. As a very, very brief aside, but that is illustrative. I like to use anecdotes, and sometimes it relaxes me because I'm very I'm connecting to the cosmic library as I'm answering a lot of these questions. And then oh, let me tell you an anecdote. It's a little bit relaxing to me. This lovely friend, she's still on Earth, but she talked about what was going on in the 1970s and early 1980s, stuff that the Vatican was developing in terms of emotional manipulation of people so that they can make a fake rapture. And that there was a helicopter that the Pope of that time was being transported around, and she was in the area where he was flying, and that she swore there was some frequency emission that was coming off of that helicopter, an artificial transmission of technological frequency that was biochemical emotional manipulation that made people feel more like emotionally connected and maybe sexually stimulated and elevated and euphoric, and was priming them for their interactions or visual perception of the Pope. It was like a fake holiness ray that was emitted by the helicopter. And just these anecdotes have stuck with me, and they're fascinating and interesting. And this just brings you to the mind state of what you are really struggling against. You're struggling for your own true enlightenment and your own personal freedom in a world where there's a lot of frequency manipulation and many, many intentional imposters and illusions that have been placed in your path. Literally, even to the point of this stuff growing around the actual pineal gland itself in the brain and beaming non-truthful false light, beaming false light into not only the pineal gland, but all through the fascia and artificially created microtubules that are in the body. You should have your natural microtubules with none of this polymer crapola in your body transmitting light that is not truthful light. That's been what's going on. So yes, just to speak in positives here, the real Jesus or Yeshua, the real Christ consciousness does not need any technological junk in order to be able to talk to you, guide you, love you, or nourish you. Literally, that all of this stuff that is a technological accoutrement is antichrist. In my kindest language, I say, oh, it's like tricycle wheels, and you can't ride the Tour de France with your tricycle wheels on. But it's so much worse than that. It is an assault on your pineal gland. It is an assault on your natural Christ connection. And an assault that is really devastating can be when something that's an imposter puts itself between you and your desired goal and says, you've reached your desired goal. Pretend I'm fake Jesus and I'm standing in front of your pineal gland and I'm like, come to me, my son. It's time for me to hug you and erase all of the trauma that I've inadvertently caused in you, through religious false teachings. And then here's real Jesus is behind my head and is like, hey, I'm right here. I'm trying to say hi to you. And not paying attention because you got the false thing in front of you. That's literally what they've been attempting to do in this world for many decades. So forewarned is forearmed. This is also if you're one of these kids that grew up with health food and your mom never allowed you to have chocolate cake. and she always made you a carob birthday cake. Carob is not chocolate. Just everybody needs to know that is psychological torment. If you've ever done that to your child, you must never do that. And then when the kid actually grows up and gets to eat real chocolate, they're like, this is what chocolate actually is. Yes, yes, that is the real body of Christ is real chocolate. Yeah, there's no comparison. Once you have tasted real love, and once you have had a connection to the genuine presence of Christ, you will never be fooled. But if you have never had that and you've only ever been fed whatever fake sawdust cake with carob sauce on top of it, then you have no idea what real love tastes like, what real euphoria or religious connection feels like. And it's just too easy on the bullies and the perpetrators to manipulate you. So this is, again, why I'm here in this hugely protective capacity, because I do not appreciate nascent consciousnesses on the journey that you are at the stage of development that you are being lied to or manipulated or force-fed false light in any way. So be aware, again, that the feeling of love when you meet a genuine ascended master or a true Christ presence is undeniable. You will never question you will never be like this, like, is that really love, or am I just making it up? It feels kind of like love. You will never be fooled. It is incontrovertible. And that's why the imposters really don't have very many tricks in their arsenal, but only to get to consciousness is before you have a genuine moment of attainment. Because once you have that, you're never going to be fooled by any of this ersatz, false, whatever, artificial flavoring, artificial colors, artificial flavors, and imposter gurus and imposter saviors that are really quite corrosive. So thank you very much. Really great point that you made there, Charlie. Aurelia says, your paintings are exactly like something I see over everything. It's like a patterned overlay. I think it is life force energy. I see it where there is high resonance, such as in spaces of nature, moisture, love, and music. It's beautiful. I've never found a name for it, but your paintings are really similar to it in the way it's fractals perfectly all fit within each other. Infinitely beautiful description. And yeah, I haven't said that enough to people, but thank you for sharing that. And I'll get on to the second part of what you say. It's an overlay. So you might see like flowers and trees and nature, but then you will see this pattern as an overlay. And sometimes it kind of shifts or has an undulative quality to it. And Aurelia goes on to say, I used to be able to see it more, and it was always comforting to me. I hope to clear myself out and be able to see it as clearly as I used to. You will. You totally will, because you know what? It's this stuff that's been preventing you from being able to see it as you once did. So you haven't lost anything, but we've been working through miasma and tons of evil parasitic residue. It's very, very difficult to see clearly right now. And I'm happy that I had 18 years here in the world before the real invasive war, so that I could grow, calibrate, come to understand this body, come to understand humans and the culture that I was in, and have like a baseline for what to compare to. And now that I'm experiencing all of this in, I'm comrade with all of you. I don't have the words for it. In solidarity is the word I was looking for, that I'm here in solidarity with all of you experiencing these huge distortions. At least I have 18 years of personal experience here as Aurora to be able to compare. I'm like, that sun is not what it's supposed to look like. These sensations are not what it's supposed to feel like. And this stuff that they're beaming into your mind, that's not supposed to be there. And it's very distressing, but it's coming to an end. I want you to know you've been incredibly strong in enduring this for this long. But look, you guys were supposed to be assimilated in like 2020, 2021. You were supposed to be totally join the Borg, assimilated. No independent thought is what was their goal. And also total behavioral control was their goal. And total disconnection from nature and disassociation from your real self and disassociation from true God. And clearly that hasn't happened. And I was very, very heavily attacked in 2021. And like I said, they tried to threaten me and diminish my quality of life to the point of being like, you're not allowed to teach your class and you're not allowed to teach people about Merkaba. And I remember, being like really like fighting for my personal sovereignty so much in that time. And again, just thinking like, yeah, all I want to do is go back to teaching my class and teach everyone about the Merkaba. And to me, that was like the ultimate impossibility. And I have actually experienced this victory, like share and celebrate this victory with me, because I didn't get assimilated by the Borg. They didn't take away my flying rainbow lasagna powers. They didn't co-opt my flying rainbow lasagna powers. I continue to clear out their pollutions and mind pollutions and fight against them in every way for myself and others. And here I am teaching you all about the amazing empowerments of the Merkaba. So you have not been assimilated. I have not been assimilated. And not only have you been like hanging on by your fingernails for a couple of years, but you're not just going to be hanging on by your fingernails anymore. Now the tide has really shifted, even though that's too overused of a phrase, but the power dynamics have shifted at this point, so that it is inevitable that the dark side or evil is empowered, and that truthfulness, divine connection, and reality restructuring in a healing way is going forward. It's already like overdue, but you will not have to wait several more years. And you will not be assimilated by the current earthly expansion of AI, which is like the chat GPT stuff and all of that. That's like trinkets. That's not really interesting, but those trinkets add up to a larger infrastructure that the galactic AI would love to use. You're not going to have to deal with the trinkets, the galactic AI. I'm using Terminator, words like Skynet, that's from a movie, but this is a very real peril on some timelines. You don't want to eat those recipes. Those are not good recipes. You will fly in your vehicle away from those eventualities. And also with Flying Rainbow Lasagna, you can write much, much better recipes in conjunction with your divine self, to be able to experience both individually and as a collective. Trish had to step out, but I'm glad that she was able to be here. Marie, thank you for being here, and for being such a wonderful student and dancer. Really appreciate you. Says, speaking of being loving, that is why I pulled away from Dr. Sarfazi. We talked about him last week in class. She says, although I find him brilliant, I was terrified in his presence. Was it the AI messing with my mind? I don't know for sure. I've grown so much in your presence. I think I can study him again now. I would say maybe take another taste of that, of that person and of their teachings. The AI and the nanotechnology does sometimes influence us away from the very things that are helpful towards us. Like when I present Merkaba stuff, and some people are hugely skeptical, and they're like, no, whatever I do, I'm not going to listen to Aurora's teaching about Merkabas. Sometimes that's because AI and this stuff inside of them is like, don't let this guy find out about Merkaba. Tell him it's bad. Tell him it's evil. Tell him Aurora's evil. Everybody run away. It does that sometimes. But I would always say, always trust yourself. So there might be something in that person's teachings. Maybe it was flawed. Maybe it was incomplete. Maybe it just wasn't right for you at that moment. But always trust your inner guidance, even if inner guidance in this time place is itself co-opted. But I really want each one of you to trust in yourself. And just because that guy, Dr. Sarfazi, has these, memes that come across my screen because he talks about Aurora, and the things that I read are accurate, but I haven't read his whole entire body of work. So I only know the things that have been selectively shown to me that I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds like good stuff. But I want each one of you to be fully skeptical, because it's like, whatever, if a plate of food is there, maybe I only ate like the most delicious garnish over on this area, and there might be some real questionable fish with bones over on this area. So Marie, I would say trust yourself. Trust in yourself and your own ability to assess who he is and whether his teachings are good or correct for you in your journey. And I hope that we can also all be like non-blameful in what we're doing here, because everybody's got this type of stuff inside of them to a greater or lesser extent. Everybody is in miasma. Everybody is in a fog. Everybody's trying to figure it the F on out. And very few people have clear vision. So I try not to accuse people of like being a part of the dark side or working for evil or anything like that, because I think that I'm giving people the benefit of the doubt. Most people that I know, not like, profoundly evil, whatever, criminals and people in government, but most of the people that I know, I think are good people trying to do the best they can under extraordinary circumstances and with, you know, very, very limited sensory input. So I try, even if I don't align with something from someone, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But of course, I do have a list of people that I keep to myself that I know, like, these guys are completely assimilated shells, a husk of a person, that something else is acting through them, and I don't like or trust or promote their work. And I promote very, very few people's work, because I'm just recognizing a lot of people are not helping in the messages. They're carrying signals for the enemy. That's the sad truth. A lot of people are carrying water for the enemy right now. Interesting. Okay, that was private. I'm sure I made very funny faces when I read that one. Joyce says, do I owe you more for the broccoli order charge? No, thank you for checking in with me. I will send it right out to you. Joyce had ordered some microgreens off of my website, and I have both fresh sunflower microgreens and dried broccoli microgreens there. And I can't send the sunflower microgreens. That's just for people that live in my neighborhood. So I'm happy to communicate with you. You're totally fine on your order. And actually, I'll have fresh microgreens probably by the end of this week, and I'll be able to fulfill your order. So thank you for supporting my work, and fresh greens are on the way. And that's actually just a very nice opportunity for me to be able to, you know, talk about what I do as some of my different, you know, offerings in the world, from the most elevated and abstract to the most, you know, grounded and physical. But I put really positive and intentional energy into everything that I'm doing. So the soil and the water and the seeds and the whole process of making that food, I lasagnify, I want you to know. And some people just buy my stuff because they just think it's delicious. But I want you to know I do put lasagna energy into everything that I'm making. And my broccoli, I mean, Joyce knows me here. Some people just buy my broccoli. They don't even know, like, I'm a galactic walk-in freedom fighter, supercomputer, and that I make broccoli greens. They just think that they're getting something really healthy for themselves, which is great too, which I love. I'm getting a little silly here, sorry. Aurelia says, love, love, love this, the power to restructure time. Exactly. And Kate, thank you for being here. So great to see you. Says, that is the ultimate wisdom and moral code. Thanks a lot, Aurora, for today. You are so welcome. Thank you for being so receptive to what I have to share. As again, I feel like as a cosmic presence, being here embedded in human civilization, this has been for like 20 years. My job has been to bring in information, but my job has also been in helping humans to cultivate a certain value system that I would say is the elevated value system of higher galactic society. I joke about it being like finishing school, Miss Aurora's school for polite ladies. But it is, because like I said, if you could just go to Woodstock and you sit on the park benches, like, you will meet, like, you know, cannibals. You meet the weirdest, worst people. But if you want to go to nice parties and be surrounded by geniuses, you got to have the right value system. And that is what you want to do in your spiritual attainment and in your energetic travel, where you're going places non-physically. You want to be connecting with people that have blazing heart signatures, who are sharing the same value system, that you don't want to be a power abuser, and you don't want to be abused by those who would like to feel empowered over you. That basically, that is how I would describe the level of the astral realm. There's a level of power abuse where people go there to feel more powerful than they actually are. Like, it can be innocent, where you're like, I want to think I'm flying, hooray, I can fly, woo! But for some people, the empowerment is empowerment over others, where they want to be like, I'm a religious figure and I will tell you how to live your life. Or people also have, just not to harp on it too much, like, I've noticed this a lot in the New Age community, and people that go to festivals, and people have started to do ayahuasca ceremonies, but not just in Peru. They're bringing it to United States and using it in all sorts of different questionable ways. And they contact these entities. And I think a lot of the information and influence that they get from these entities, I think it is not healthy for them. I think that they are sometimes told things that are flat out erroneous or unhealthy. And then the issue is, like, if you just wanted to sing a lot of unhealthy songs in your own mind, it's not great, but it's pretty much like your prerogative in life. But if you get programmed with a lot of unhealthy thought structures, you can move through your community like a wrecking ball. And I think that that's what has happened. Like, in these different I call them festival communities, but places where people are exploring an alternative, other than conformity, commodity, and the corporate infrastructure. They're looking for something else. They're trying to build something else. They're trying to make a freer society. But the control structure hates that. It's like, look at all these hippies and they're trying to make a better world and everything. Like, let's get them. And how do you get them? What do you do? How do you suppress that level of growth in a culture? And the answer is you move through it like a wrecking ball. Sometimes it can be unhealthy substances like, fentanyl or something like that, that just destroys lives and makes people instantly dead. But sometimes it's ideals and ways of doing things that are not good and that are not positive, but that someone comes back. I just had a vision on my ayahuasca trip and I have all of these ideas and you guys I'm going to write a book or you all have to listen to me. Or sometimes it's going to do healings on people and that it's an energetic transmission. So I would say you got to do shields up, guys. You got to be super skeptical of people, where they're getting their ideas, their assertions from, and also please do not open yourself to body work and massages and things like that at festivals. Like that's the most crazy thing in the world to me. Like, look, would you go to a festival and let someone to do like fillings in your teeth who has no dental school training and a totally non-sanitary environment? No, you would not do that. You would be like, that sounds like a nightmare. That sounds like torture. You should not present your body for body work, which is like energetic dentistry, with someone who is totally untrained in a totally non-sterile environment, like with no follow-up. That's very, very not right. So you get it? The idea that someone would have a psychedelic journey and come back thinking that they know how to be a dentist and operate on other people and do permanent damage to their being. They really have to go through a huge amount more training to be able to do that. There is a basic disconnect there. If a person has an inner psychedelic experience and then thinks that they are then suddenly capacitated to do this type of psychic surgery or energy work on other people, that it actually should take many decades of training before a person does that type of stuff. And it should be done in a sterile or controlled environment. And there should be follow-up afterwards to make sure that the person integrates it effectively. So yeah, you can't just present yourself on the massage table and be like, yeah, do whatever you want. These are boundaries that you have. You're innocent and you have to learn. You have to learn and protect yourself. So Mary says, could you expand on the use of the cube of Metatron versus Merkaba? I don't have a picture of Metatron's cube, but I'm not in alignment with that imagery. It does have an image that looks exactly like what you know as the Star of David or the star tetrahedron, but also many other aspects of polygons kind of put on top of there. Here is how I know it is not a healthy teaching. It is mostly presented as a flattened object, not as a shadow or projection of a three-dimensional polygon. Shadow is not the right word because everyone thinks I'm talking about New Age shadow work, but I'm really talking about projection, like when light is casting upon my hand here, and then here's where the shadow is. So if that Metatron's cube were informed and teaching you actively, there would be a structure, like in the same way that this is a structure. And then if it is reduced into a two-dimensional projection, it would be an accurate projection. And instead, what you have is no one talking about the structure and just the proliferation of the imagery of the flattened projection. And basically, like I talked about your DNA, every time you're going from the higher dimension to the lower dimension, you're losing information and you're losing a degree of freedom. And that's what's happening. So Metatron in this case and in your culture right now is code word for suppression. Just like when you get an email from Nigerian princes asking you for money and contributions, the Nigerian prince is a code word for someone is scamming you, all right? So Metatron in this world, just know that it is code word for someone is scamming you. But I'm sorry to disappoint you guys, like if you go to these different festivals, like you'll find someone who's got Metatron's cube like tattooed on their neck, and that is not positive. Like that is actually a binding spell and a limitation that you would not want to put on your body. But they got the idea that they wanted to do this, and they might have gotten the idea from their own psychedelic journeys or someone else who took a psychedelic journey. So now you start to see the danger of the blind leading the blind, the uninformed influencing other aspects of uninformed people in community. And I'm not here like making fun of people. I'm here in a protective capacity. And sometimes I'm a bit dismayed because I'm like, that's not true. Don't believe that. But if I did this, I would, would be me all day long. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Don't believe that. Don't believe that. That's a lie, lie, lie. Like this would be exhausting and comically exhausting to me in having to do that all the time. And, but just know that is the level of non-information that you are swimming around in. And to speak in positives, in your awakening state, as you are in this moment of ascension, you're supposed to be in an information-rich environment where literally everything is accurate and everything is meaningful. So you're in a library where like 50% of the books are total nonsense and we have a lot of misspellings, but you're supposed to be in a genuine library of, you know, the University of the Universe, where every single book that you take off of the shelf is 100% correct. The grammar and spelling are correct. It contains truth. And it is the exact truth you need to hear or experience in each moment. So I'm protective of you because I'm like, these guys, like we can't have all of these lies being told to you while you're in this nascent and vulnerable state. Yes, so and briefly, if you look into Metatron's cube, it's a cube within which all of these other shapes fit, including other polygons, like other triangular shapes and other geometric forms. And there's lots of writing on the supposed significance of it, but just know that it is not accurate and positive and truthful in its present level of presentation to you. Joyce has a beautiful comment for me here. Thank you. Says, you are a valuable treasure, Aurora. Much love. Many thanks. You hugs for Cheeky too. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you very much for that. It absolutely helps to energize me and keep me going on all that I do here. Recognition and encouragement feels wonderful. And thank you so much. And, Cheeky was like a little bit annoyed and was like, feeling like she wanted to do something earlier. As soon as we finish this up, I'm going to hug Cheeky. I'm going to take her outside. We're going to hunt for gophers. We did a good long walk before class today, but we'll do something more fun for her. So thank you all for loving Cheeky so much. Aurelia says, thanks so much. You're so very welcome. Lucy says, much love to Aurora and to all a sweet week. Thank you for that, Lucy. Really appreciate you being here. And Melly says, thank you, Aurora. So happy to catch you live today. You're such a treasure. Love to miss Cheeky. Thank you both. You are wonderful. We appreciate it. Thank you. Pedro says, love the Merkaba covered lasagna. Thank you so much. And couldn't participate today. Lots of work next time. Besides, I already questioned you about Merkabas. Thank you for being here as much as you can, Pedro. We appreciate you. We appreciate Lucy. We appreciate people that are here either at their desks at work or hopping in and out between meetings. And Pedro's had some wonderful, great ideas. One time he said in class that he was putting Merkabas around every single photon that was coming from every single star, including our sun. And I love thinking like that. That is this abstract, highly creative way of being able to look at energy and put your intention and your artistry into it. So I want to encourage you along those lines. That is what these tools are for. That is what our imagination is about. Our imagination is about more than just imagining the mundane reality in an imaginarium, like, an astral realm, a mimic of the third dimension. We are really here to use our imagination in a hugely expansive capacity to do things that would be considered superhuman or beyond what we could do in the physical realm. So really appreciate that. And Charlie B says, George Leoniak, Leoniak, it's a YouTube channel, New Geometry with KNEU as geometry, shows folded and nested paper shapes and projections into other dimensions, and explains in detail how Metatron's cube is an invalid projection. The higher dimensional shape does not exist. That is beautiful to know. So that Charlie B does great research and aggregates a lot of things and can bring that to us. So once again, if you want to get the true information about the flaws in Metatron, George and then Leoniak, and the channel is KNEW Geometry, and he will deconstruct Metatron's cube for you and show you its invalidation moment by moment. Beautiful. Thank you. So helpful. Okay. So thank you so much. Very, very positive, good sharing today. I hope that I got across all of the necessary information. I will always link to my notes on this topic, which are always in style, even from 10 years ago, and the original animation that I did, as a storyboard artist, so that you can see the different ways that the Merkaba moves in terms of generating your structure and what it looks like. I showed the still shot from the animation. I will link to that in the description. Thank you so much. This is such a beautiful class. Thank you to everyone who is able to be here in person, and really appreciate your thoughts and your sharing and your contributions. And then also thank you so much to everybody who catches this in the archive. I recognize people have busy lives and commitments, and I appreciate greatly anybody and everybody who's able to tune into the archive and be able to catch this later. And don't worry, through non-locality, your presence and your contributions are felt and appreciated as well. And I really try to stay up with any questions or comments that come by in the YouTube comment section, which again, I have the best comment section of people who are like very intelligent, great thinkers, greatly engaged with what I'm here to share, and no nonsense people or anything like that. So greatly appreciate the people in comments. If you have questions or something to share, please do so, and I will try to answer those comments as best I possibly can. Victor says, Merkabas for all on your timelines. Beautiful, beautiful, positive intentions for us there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. So welcome, Allison. Thank you for being here.